the earth will have swallowed us up. But the Bible says, if God be for us, who can be against us? This is year 2023. We are witnessing it by your power, by your strength, by your ability. Father, receive all praises and adorations in Jesus' name. We commit this event of today into your holy hand. Take absolute control. Let your name be exalted. And Lord, as we have come for knowledge, impart knowledge unto us. So that by the time that we leave this place, the whole world will know that we have been to Mcpd Osun 2023 and we have gained a lot. Let it be so in our lives in Jesus' name. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for in Jesus' mighty name we pray.
Somebody who loves God will say a better amen. At this point, every one of us here, we are so important to God and to humanity. Yes, I still want us to understand that there are some people among us that we need to recognize because they are leaders and they've run the race in the past. And today they could look back and say, oh, glory be to God for where I'm coming from and where I've gotten to and where they are still going. And let me start by introducing to us the arrowhead of today's Mcpd, the chairman of this branch, who held this branch as the #1 citizen of this branch, Osun branch. Please permit me to call on Estate Surveyor and Valuer Adekunle Adedoye, Prince. Along the line, I want to recognize all the executives of Osun State Branch, but I'm sorry I won't be able to call everybody to the high table, but please permit me to call the chairman to the high table. Yeah, while we are moving on, please permit me at this point to call upon the man that left the seat before the present chairman came on board. Permit me to call upon the immediate past chairman of this branch, Pastor Shego Fashiku. Please, sir, you are most welcome to the high table, sir. As the IPC is moving to the high table, yes, I want to recognize some of our leaders and babas. Like I said the other time, I said some people, they've run the race and they are still running the race. And this branch wouldn't have been a branch if not by their own effort, sweat, and abilities in the past. Before I will start calling names, I want to appreciate you for the good jobs you have done in the past, sir. I want to assure you that with the younger generation, we will uphold it and do more. Permit me at this point to recognize the professor among us personally, because I know we have many professors here today. I want to recognize Professor Sheyi Adegoke. He is the immediate past chairman of this institution. Sir, the good work you are doing, the one you've done, sir, we honor it and we recognize it, sir. Please keep it moving, sir. Permit me at this point to call upon the lecturer of all the lecturers. He taught so many of us. I used to say Baba, but say don't say Baba. So a one man from Iwo. Permit me to call on Niesv, Estate Surveyor and Valuer Babayaya Ajagbe, the lecturer of all the lecturers.
German, the beats, German.
While Baba is sitting on his chair again, please permit me at this point to welcome to this gathering Estate Surveyor and Valuer, Rasak. When I mention Estate Surveyor and Valuer, Rasak Akine's name, I want to quickly appreciate and recognize Estate Surveyors and Valuer, Prince Israel Oyeyemi, one of our leaders in the branch. Permit me at this point to recognize Estate Surveyor and Valuer Honorable Adegboyega Ojo, the man who represented us at the corridor of power then. Thank you very much for the good job, sir. We appreciate you. Now, let me go further. I want to recognize the presence of Mr. Ayepola Taiwo. You are much welcome to this gathering. I want to recognize the immediate past vice chairman of this branch, Estate Surveyor and Valuer Adele Olaniyan, the Prince. You are much welcome, sir. While I move forward, please permit me to take a hold a little at this point to invite to the high table our speakers. Before I go into introduction again, it's my pleasure to introduce to you a very young boy, the damn boy, who is trying to become a man. I can see him as a man. And the first professor of forensic accounting. He beat my imagination. Please permit me to welcome Professor Godwin Emmanuel Oyedoku. Professor Godwin Emmanuel Oyedoku will be presenting to us challenges and prospects of improving IGR through real estate sector in Osun State. Prof, you are much welcome. I want to welcome again and introduce to us and bring him to the high table. Okay, that is on the high table already. Estate Surveyor and Valuer Yinka Omotosho, all the way from Lagos. You are much welcome, sir. Let me go further to introduce to us one of our elder, immediate to turn us to power 10. Past chairman of this our branch, Estate Surveyor and Valuer Sikiru. You are much welcome, sir. He's one of our speakers today. Please, sir, you are welcome to the high table. Let me bring to the high table again one of our speakers, a lecturer from Ajayi Crowther University. His name is Estate Surveyor and Valuer Taiwo Oshikoya, a very young man as well. Welcome, sir. At this point, I want to bring to the high table the chairman of Oyo branch of Nigeria Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuer, Estate Surveyor Pastor Sheyi Adebayo. You are much welcome, sir. Let me know. While the introduction was ongoing, one of our father in the institution and one of the elders and leaders in Oyo branch just came in. Please permit me to recognize Estate Surveyor and Valuer Ademola Otitola. You are much welcome, sir. Let me know. It's lyrics. Noble colleagues, the fellow in the house, associates, probation, and students here today. I want us to know that today is a day that you and I will not forget. Please, I want us to be attentive when the lecture is ongoing. Please, one now, sir. I want us to be attentive when the lecture is ongoing. But before we start the lecture, I want to invite to the podium the chairman of Osun State Branch, Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuer, Estate Surveyor and Valuer Adekunle Adedoye, Prince, to welcome everyone to this occasion. Thank you, sir.
Let me know. It's lyrics. Yeah. Paramedic.
Thank you very much. Distinguished noble colleagues, let me establish the protocol. First and foremost, I would like to recognize the presence of all our invited guests and speakers to this 2023 MCPD Osun State Branch. You are highly welcome, sir. I want to recognize, all our headers, Estate Surveyor and Valuer, JAO. We call him Jao. It's an honorable. I must appreciate you for coming this morning. You are highly welcome, sir. You want to clap for headers? Clap very well. Estate Surveyor and Valuer, Yaya Ajago, the lecturer of lecturers, the Baba of Babas, the wonderful man. You are highly recognized, sir. I must recognize my professor, Estate Surveyor and Valuer, Professor Sheyi, the fellow of the institution. I would like you to be in the front, please. Move to the front. Sit down beside your man. Thank you very much. Because mommy is not here. Distinguished noble colleagues, I would like to bring to the front also Estate Surveyor and Valuer Ademola Otitola, the son of the soil, all the way from Oyo State. You are highly welcome to the front, sir. Please come to the front here, sir. All the associates, move to the front. All the fellows, move to the front. All the associates of the institution, move to the front. I'm seeing some associates, they are still at the back. Move to the front. Thank you very much. Distinguished noble colleagues, without wasting much of our time this morning, I would like to give the speech as follows. It is my pleasure to welcome every one of us to today's gathering, our yearly MCPD Osun State Branch for 2023. And the theme is the challenge and prospects improving idea through real estate sector in Osun State. And I believe we have seasoned resource persons who are capable to do the justice to the topic, to the team and sub-teams. I want to appeal to every one of us this morning to pay adequate attention, listen attentively, and when the program is ongoing, jot down your questions, and they will do the needful at the end of the program. I want to thank every one of you for coming for this year 2023 MCPD, and I pray at the end of the day you not go the same way you came. Thank you for coming, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you are clapping, please clap for the chairman. Don't consider the age, consider the office, and consider the good work he is doing in this branch. Okay. At this point, I still want to recognize the presence of the vice chairman of this branch. Is here seated. My vice chairman, sir, you are recognized alongside with other schools. Thank you very much, sir. I recognize everybody here. You are all important to us, and we really appreciate your coming. Let us go into the business. But before we go into that, we have recognized God because He's the Alpha and Omega. And we have also honored woman here present. I want us to really appreciate God for this country. Please, shall we rise on our feet while we recite the national anthem? Thank you very much. At this point, but before I go into that, while the introduction was ongoing, one of our leader and elder in this branch, and most especially the publicity section of this branch, came in to this gathering. Please permit me to honorably honor and introduce to us Professor T.T. Oladoko from Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. Let me quickly introduce to us, while I recognize him as well, and his entourage, the head of Department of Estate Management, Osun State College of Technology, the only polytechnic that others are following. Sir, you are much welcome, sir. And other lecturers from the department, you are highly welcome. The valuation made easy is here. Many people may not understand the language, the valuation made easy. But some of us that attended Oscotech will understand what I'm saying. Please let me introduce to us the man that brought somebody like us to the real arena of valuation. Estate Surveyor and Valuer, Seso Odeyomi, the valuation made this man. You are welcome, sir. Please let us go into the business at this point. Please permit me at this point to invite to the podium the first and the person that will present the lead paper, which titled as The Challenges and Prospect of Improving IGR through Real Estate Sector in Osun State. Please permit me, while I inform Professor Godwin Emmanuel Oyedoku to please be on his feet while we read this citation. Professor Oyedoku is a multi-talented and multidisciplinary scholar and practitioner of good repute with over 20 years of experience. He is a public policy analysis, author, and international speaker who is currently a professor of accounting and financial development at the Lead City University, Ibadan, Nigeria. He is also a visiting professor at the Department of Management Science. Department of Management Science at Department of Management Science of Chicago University at Dallas, Texas, in USA. He's also a visiting lecturer there at Greenwich University, London, also University of Bristol, England, University of Johannesburg, South Africa, University of Kenya. Okay, thank you, sir. University of Kenya. Okay, please let me quickly come again. Professor Oyedoku is a multi-talented and multidisciplinary scholar practitioner of a good repute with over 23 years of experience. He is a forensic accountant, public policy analyst, author and international speaker, and a professor of accounting and financial development at the Lead City University, Ibadan, in Nigeria. He is a visiting professor of accounting and finance at the Business School of Nigerian British University, Nigeria, a visiting professor of forensic accounting and finance at Charisma University, Turks and Caicos Island, West Indies, and an adjunct professor of accounting and finance at Crawford University, Igbesa, Nigeria. He was an adjunct professor of accounting at the Department of Accounting, Igbenado University, Okada, Nigeria, MC First University, Oyo State, Nigeria, Coal City University, Enugu, Nigeria, and a senior lecturer in the Department of Accounting and Department of Taxation of Nasarawa State University, Kefi, Nigeria. He was also an adjunct lecturer at Bangkok University and Southwestern University. Professor Yodoku was a faculty member for the supervision of postgraduate students at the University of South Africa. He is the faculty member at the Joseph Business School, Chicago, Lagos, and an international faculty member at the Mississippi State University, his continuing education program in Lagos. He is also an external examiner for the undergraduate and accounting program for Abia State University, Uturu, Nigeria, Atiba University, Oyo, Nigeria, and Dominican University, Ibadan, Nigeria. Professor Oyedoku is a sought-after intellectual who had presented various technical / seminar papers at conferences, training, seminars, and he is an examiner to some professional bodies, both in Nigeria and abroad. He has authored over 60 professional articles, 25 conference papers, 20 chapter contributions, and 178 peer-reviewed academic articles. He has edited 10 books and published 28 books to the glory of God. He has successfully supervised 129 BSc projects, 7 postgraduate diploma projects, 38 Masters of Science dissertations, and 16 completed PhD theses in management, accounting, finance, taxation, and forensic accounting, and audit in Nigeria and overseas. Professor Oyedoku is the founder of OGE Group and the principal partner at Oyedoku Government Emmanuel & Co., a firm of chartered accountant, tax practitioner, and forensic auditor. He is an erudite contemporary professor, a consummate educationist, and a human capital development expert who has taught at all levels of education. He has attended several local and international conferences in the last 20 years, including but not limited to the program at Lagos Business School, Lagos, Nigeria, Joseph Business School, Chicago, USA, University, Dallas, Texas, USA, Greenwich University, London, University of Bristol, England, University of Johannesburg, South Africa, University of Kenya, Nairobi, among others. He is currently a governing member of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, CITN, Business Recovery and Insolvency Practitioners of Nigeria, President of the Association of Forensic Accounting Researchers, AFAR, and Council Member, Director, Research and Development of Institute of Personality Development and Customer Relation Management, Board Chairman of the Association of the Certified Fraud Examiners, Lagos Chapter, Chairman, Board of Diplomats of Forensic Accounting and Audit of the Chartered Institute of Forensic and Certified Fraud Investigation of Nigeria, and the immediate past chairman, Ilupeju Bagada and District Society of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, ICANN, among others. He's a senior pastor at Tabernacle of Prayer Church, Nigeria. Professor Yedoko is happily married with children. Please, at this point, permit me to hand over the microphone to Professor Godwin Oyedoku.
That was supposed to be a punishment for a friend of about 27 years that left me and decided to ask me to come today. I intentionally gave him that punishment to read. Next time, he will be so closer to his friend. Authorities of institutes, yes, institution, if I want to go into nomenclature, will come to the same meaning. Thank you for risking everything to ask someone like me to come and talk to us. I want to respectfully say permission to continue to talk, because this is when there is no elders in the house that small boy like us should be talking. And I'm not going to take this opportunity of this mic for granted, especially to all the single professor in the house and senior academics that we have. I'm seeing one of our guys when we were in SAOK then. For your information, I passed through Osun State College of Technology, SAOK. And I think I need to say this for the matter of protocol. Please, I want my slide. Okay. So as a matter of fact, it's not just that I passed through. I started with pre-ND. You know the meaning of pre-ND. Idiots don't go there because you can't pass if you don't know how to pass all the 5 subjects. And funny enough, some of us were not serious, but let me say we were not seen to be serious, because when you are supposed to go for a class that you must pass 5 courses, otherwise you go back home, and you started doing manual and all the rest in school, and people thought we are not serious. And even when we were making it in class those days, some of our colleagues thought we were seeing lecturer, that was why we passed. And to shock them, some of us have about 30 professional qualifications today. He didn't remember to tell you that I have about 4 bachelors, about 5 masters, and 5 PhDs, to the glory of God. And some of you may want to ask, how old is he? Some of you may want to ask, how old? That's old that you are thinking, okay? Then the battle was between estates, accounting, and banking and finance. These my people from Mcpd then, they always want to create trouble there. They put their, but it's okay. We thank God that we are all together today. It's good to be among professionals, and our first love is the profession. And I will also tell you that you have business, you have no business in the business of managing resources if you cannot stand to defend such resources. And that's why I want to congratulate every one of you for taking the risk to also be in a profession of choice. We have so many characteristics and definition of profession, and that's not the purpose of my coming here today, but I know you understand that. You must have done that in your various ethics, and be that as it is, when you attend lecture of this nature, that doesn't mean that you don't know what you want to do or you don't know what you are doing, because some of you taught some of us, but some of us also take liberty of sitting at the back of the class to learn from those that we taught, because we are not always in the same place. Well, you taught me in SAOK and I'm not in SAOK now. So do you want to listen to what I've gained wherever I've been to? That's why it is better to also not say, but the president was our student before. No, he's now the president. He see more than what you can see now. Not because you cannot see, it's just because his role will not allow him to sleep while you are sleeping now. So that's why I want to acknowledge and say thank you for this opportunity. And please, the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those, my mom, my dad, that cannot read or write, or it will be those of us that cannot learn again, relearn, and unlearn those old things you taught us, because they don't work again, okay? I don't want to interrogate your profession more than what is permitted, but some of the accounting that we were taught when we were in SAOK, not SAOK per se now, in accounting curriculum is container accounts, departmental. We don't do all those nonsense, and we will keep teaching it. because protocol say we should teach, right? That is why MCPD of this nature, we actually, when I do like this, you press. I don't like talking, so but just notice and don't go more down when I do like that. So those things may be things of the past, but they may be relevant for your future. And coming for training of this nature, sir, we want to say thank you for allowing it to happen, because you now listen to rubbish, nonsense that those people that don't know want to say. But faith comes by hearing, and hearing the word of the Lord. So also when you want to know what is it in your profession, the faith of it to know it better is when you continue to listen to other people talk. You don't need to go and read again. All you need is to confirm. My professor, you understand what I'm saying now. And you know in yourself, when you are writing your exams, when you are reading one line twice, something is happening. You read it, you know it's English, but you read it one, you go back, it means it's not coming. But when you listen, come to the gathering of our elders like this, and they talk to you, you don't need to do so much trouble, because you already hear that. I can research some verses in Quran, not because I went to Quranic school, but because the loudspeaker is always in my life. Wherever I stay, there will be church like this, there will be mosque. So I hear it and I can recite it. That is what they call faith. So when you come to this gathering of this nature, you know it better, and you have the experience of everybody around us. So we are doing this, and the purpose is to know the challenges and prospects of improving IGR. I will take you through these challenges that we are talking about, and we also look at certain things that may make our profession to continue to flourish, and that is if we believe in what we are saying. And within the short period that I have, we'll look at Nigerian real estate. I won't talk much because I don't want to introduce your profession, so that I'm not caught in that web of under introducing. Land ownership in Nigeria, contribution, constitutional activities of real estate, concept of internal. Are you sure this thing will work well? We'll look at the concept of internally generated revenue. We'll look at taxes collected by state government in this means, importance of internally generated revenue, challenges of internally generated revenue, and how to improve it. Then specifically, we'll open our eyes to what you know, but may not put your mind in terms of real estate. How do we improve? This is Osun State, and you cannot pretend that you are not interested in economic development of this state, okay? We look at how to improve it. Is there any prospect for Osun through that which you do, which is real estate? I don't normally conclude in my class because the discussion should continue, but we'll give some recommendation. Real estate is that sector that has potential to generate significant revenue for state government through what? Taxes and other levies, if you take care of it appropriately. But the issue is this: what it is that we call real estate. Will it qualify that Please give it to him. I'm so sorry. This is just my lifestyle. I don't know. Are we wasting our time? Okay, now, so let's go.
Yes, you're telling the truth. The estate there, the meaning of estate is the right, or if you like, you can call it interest. The right that you have. If you have a plot of land, you have a right there on that plot of land.
So what happened to
If you have a building, you have a right there too. If you have anything that you have that is pertaining to land.
Okay,
you
so
have a right
so let's do it like this. I won't need it now. She's my mom, but for the purpose of this class, she's my wife. I have rights in her. Does that make her estate? Am I creating trouble?
That is not
Somebody
attached
should
to
come
land.
and collect this because this is a training, and I will leave when I may not finish this slide. It's not necessary, but once you gain it, I'm fine. Sir, continue, sir.
When we are talking of rights in land,
Yes.
it doesn't mean your right in a woman.
Okay.
It's different.
You know, when we say properties, see, I've done land law. I've finished degree in law and masters. So I know what I'm asking. Okay? If you have a land, does it mean that is an estate?
It's yes, it's depending on the interest
See,
you have on
people at
it.
the back, are you agreeing because you know it or
Yes, sir.
because you are respecting them? Don't worry. I will rule on it
Okay,
and you will continue. Please, let's be sincere. Are you agreeing with them because they are the elders in profession or because you know it? Can somebody just confess? Let the devil be ashamed. Can somebody, sir? That is the norm. Say, I categorize all of you in front as our elder. But I want to know from the back. See, people at the back should talk. Don't be ashamed because you don't know what I have in mind.
Hello. Whatever you can exercise the right of ownership on the land or landed property,
Okay.
not on land.
You
or
know, you
landed
are now
property.
expanding the scope, and that is exactly what I want to achieve in this class. You're expanding the scope because you can actually use English to call yourself thief. Because when you talk about property of a man, my wife is inclusive. A property of a woman, the husband is inclusive. But in the stricto sensu, we may not be able to do it in that manner. So what I've been able to do is to skip about 5 slides that talks about the meaning of real estate. So which means we are now at home and some people are already taking something home about this class. Is that not so? So can we continue now? Now, why do we have issues when it comes to real estate? Why do we normally have issue? Why do we normally have issue? Why is it that even the cases in courts normally last for about 20, 30, 40 years because of lack of wisdom ab initio? And permits my ignorance of using that lack of wisdom, because even it's written in Bible, if you lack that, you should do what? Seek it. And I know it's in Quran like that too. So, is it not better for us to use this institution to continue to extend the frontier of knowledge so that it's not only you that do what, that have this knowledge? Now, part of your advocacy on the meaning of rights in the land or in any property is not only for you to be the best, but the advocacy out of it. And some of us in our field, we go out almost every day to educate people, whether you are a member or not. So one of those areas you will do is that when you have clients, we call it clients, also with your profession, right? When was the last time you just do a kind of get together for your clients and you use this opportunity to educate them on what they don't know? Like some lawyer will just do and say, let me go and post the right of first wife in the husband's house, the right of second wife, because by default, some of us will fall into that categories. So what are you going to be doing? So one of the takeaways, which can form part of our discussion next time, is that your advocacy to ensure that we have limited cases when it comes to landed property. At what point will you want to agree that The landed property can be called landed property. Is it at the time you acquire it or at the time you acquire title? How many of us are seated here that you have a land and you have building on it and you don't even have a red copy of your survey? Don't tell me lie, because I have. Please just put your hands up. I will not beat you. Oh yeah, now let's be sincere. You said the truth. Only one person is the truth sayer here. God bless you. Sir, will that property qualify as real estate? You say yes. I want to, please, can you give him mic?
Is qualifies as real estate.
Thank you, sir.
Even tenant at surveillance, tenants at will, they are all real estate.
It's going back to
because for the fact that you are occupying it and you are enjoying some interest on it.
Please, sir, don't sit down. When there's a dispute, whose interest is the real interest?
Yes, when we talk about dispute, the issue of document is not the first thing.
Okay.
Because land belonged to some generation before then.
Okay.
And in as much as you still have some, especially in this part of the country, what we call Bale, the Obas, the elders in the families, you can still prove ownership even without documents. So real estate is still the person that you have whatever interest, whether major or minor, that you are enjoying, is still.
You know my trouble is that as we're struggling, sweating to discuss this, some people are playing.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah. So hold on, sir. As we are struggling to do this, some people are still distracting us from the back. This is a very serious matter. And I think we should really learn, because once you pick this discourse, you don't need to go and be looking for acts again, because they are talking sense into the sense of this discussion.
Yes.
God bless you, sir.
I mean, the prof has gotten it.
It's a prof now.
We have two interests, even in law.
If you try it for me, the defendant will. Of uniformity in the law governing land use and ownership is one of the issues you may have as a practitioner in these crimes. The issue of uncontrolled speculation in urban land, the question of access to land rights by Nigerian and equal legal basis. What about the issue of fragmentation of rural land that may arise from what? From the decades or the mind of the governor. The land law is very clear, and it has been able to divide the rights into two, customary and what? Which one do you normally collect from states? What do you collect from the local governments? But do you know in some states, the two may have been consolidated and the people at the rural may not have rights. But that is not known to law. That's not known to law. And these are the challenges that when you are treating land law, you need to take care of the fact that, yes, in the spirit and letter of the law, but when you get to the practice, it may not look like that again. And that's why most of the rural road is still being controlled by the states. And I wish one day our local government people will be able to wake up and ensure that we sign to law that devolution of power that they rejected. So issue can be approached in 3 related strategies. The vesting of property rights in land in states. But I will just advise you that whatever it is in practice, go with it. And that's why finishing from school as estate surveyor is not important to, or more, it's not supposed to be more specially recognized than coming to institution of this nature to now learn the practice. And I know before you can be able to hone this certificate, you also need to do what? Do what is necessary, including your practical knowledge. So you need to continue to learn in the, at the foot of our elders in order to know what is going on. So the land law, which was codified in Elephant 2004, is very, very important because it stated that subject to the provision of this law, all land comprises in territory of a state in the federation are hereby vested in governor. But something happened when my prof was talking. Those olden days, what happened to those land owned? Yes, it would just be revealed as if those land were gotten from the day the act was promulgated. It's still vested in the what? In the governor. You can't say because my forefather owned this land. You can only fight like communal something. Governors still have the right on it. The highest you will do is that you will not vote for him second time, or another governor will come, revoke what he has done, but he still has the power. Whether it is your forefather that owns it, no. All lands are now in the hands and is vested in governor. So you need to know that, and please read section 2 of that act very well. Land ownership in Nigeria, if you look at section 6 of that, also talks about the power of chairman, which is being eroded. We are not going to waste time on that. Then if you look at generally the issue of real estate, we can make fortune and we can continue to make fortune if we are practicing it the way we should. Why are we still having issue when we have professional juggernauts in this field when it comes to real estate? I was at one program you heard in Ibadan last time. I don't know whether early this year, there was one program of estate held in Ibadan. I think Lee City University then. I don't know which of the... So I was at the back to listen to a particular speaker. And I learned a strategy that most of our colleagues here may not have been practicing. You have interest in a land. You've been the one controlling it in terms of the surveyor. But the adequate advice is not given as to the structure of what can be constructed on that land. It's your work. I give you this. Politicians, we always want to do 1 billion thing within the short period of 4 years they have. Professionals, it's your own right to guide them. Now, let me tell you, when you guide them right and they are not taking it, they take note of you. Don't change your mind and say, oh, Oga, just remain with your advice and let them pick it. It's not your responsibility to force them to take your advice, but you will lose your integrity if you fail to advise. Now, a politician will say, let me jump from 3,000-story building. Don't tell him not to jump if you have advised 1 or 2 times, but don't say, okay, you can jump. No, just leave him to jump. But it's your responsibility to go and look for mattress that is as tall as that height and put it there for him, so that when he lands there, he can still climb for himself and you have achieved your aim. I don't know whether I've said anything. The owner of the land will want to even build any stupid thing on the wall. Don't fight it, but you intensify and let the person know the repercussion of what he's trying to do. You build a house in an estate, and the issue of irrigation, should I call it irrigation? No, drainage is the trouble. Why are we having such? When you plan, do you plan drainage as part of the problem that can create trouble for that building? The answer is no, to the best of what I've seen around. So it's part of your responsibility. Even as the building is being handed over to you, you can still look with your experience and say, sir, ma, you have a very good place here, but if we can do this, it will be better, and the value will increase. When the value is increased, what happens to the income you get here? It will increase, and everybody will be better off. Even your own fee, if it is percentage based, what happens to it? It will also improve. So those are the key things we need to also understand. Now, a question that I want to ask the house is that, as estate surveyor and valuer, do you have role in urbanization of any state or country? Do you have role? I don't want you to talk, Mr. Do you have role? What is our role? Move.
Like, we are trained to determine the highest and best use of land. And in the course of urbanization, so in as much the urban and regional planners can't identify the highest and best use of land, so their task is incomplete. So as far as estate surveyors and valuer is concerned, so we are to give them the highest and best use of land they want to urbanize. Thank you very much, sir.
So if they refuse to do it, what is our role? How do we ensure society also listen to us? What is our role there?
Adequate orientations to the residents of such society to know the benefit of what we are advocating for, and at the same time to know the disadvantage of what their how will I put it? They're not listening to what we advise.
At what point, another person, at what point are we doing this advocacy? Is it that, oh, it's his government, whatever they want can go? Do you know some lawyers will come together and ensure that the law is forced to change? My professor, you taught us this. They will do the advocacy, blackmail government, so that they can accept what they want. So what will be our role to ensure that is done? Or is it just that when they want to appoint, let's say in the land or whatever, you just accept whoever is there? Who is helping us with that? God bless you, sir.
Well, there is a living example that everybody can attest to, even in Osun State.
God bless you, sir.
The land use.
Let's put our hands together for that.
Charge. Everybody knows the story about the land use charge. The government tried up to today. The thing could not work because they did not listen to our advice.
God bless you. And so I think we need to continue on that. Now let's look at real estate sector in Osun State. How many of us know that the state is growing in population? You know that, and it will continue to create a demand for building and the likes. Do we agree that? Now, there's a principle of demand and supply. Which one comes first? That is the law since the day of John the Baptist, but it's not correct. Do you know you can create demand by supplying? Do you know you want to work, you want to have things. Do you know you can create demand by supplying? It's possible. Do you know we should start doing that? If you go to Texas, Dallas and the likes, you will see bridges that they've built and they have never used. Dubai, I've been into those states and countries. I can confirm to you that they have what you really can call definition of real estate. It's a taboo to have a story building. I don't know the name for one building that doesn't have anything on top. Bungalow, duplex is a taboo. However, in Canada, it is wrong and it's criminal. If you like, be 25-story building, you must have up to like 10, 20 or so under. That is it. You can search. It's difficult to lie in this kind of environment because I'm talking to people. What is our home? We just want to jam pack the urban area. I'm not talking about rural development now. I'm even talking about the urban area. How effective have we been able to? How many of you have flown within Nigeria? And when the plane is coming down to like 10,000 above sea level, and you are seeing something that will make you hate that you are from Nigeria, all those roofing sheets that look dirty. When people are coming from abroad, but the next thing you'll be seeing, have you seen when you go to South Africa and you see the roofing sheet, you go to, those are the work of our professionals. Don't say it should be for which sector again now that will design better roofing sheet. Are you not supposed to be the one to create that demand for better roofing sheets? If your client says, I want just ordinary iron, she says, sir, that will not last. And if you call me to come and resolve it, I will not come. And they said, no, I will go and look for another surveyor. And that other person, you see, remember, it's also said the same thing. What will they do? They will come back to normal. Already, I recognize you, sir. This is. So, look at how you can create demand from supply angle. It's because we are stereotypic in nature to say demand, then supply. No, let us supply. Now, how will I know that glasses of this nature is available if I did not see it in the market? I know there must be glasses, but not until I see a better one, I won't be able to know that it works and is available. So let us, from this institute, also look at that. Commercial estates are seeing a kind of increase in activities. But you know that if Google Map will work well in Osun capital, you need to do sign of cross because of. But what can we do? Is it now the time you go and tell them that this building, you can destroy it and make it? It's late. But don't forget, most of the building that you use, that you see that they are converting to banks, they are old building as well. At what point are you going to go there to create value and let that wrong thing that has been done when we do not have clear demarcation can be revisited? I am not an expert in this, but I know that whenever I go out, when you have 2 hours to talk, they will give you 10 minutes. It doesn't concern me. Maybe I will still collect my money. So those are it. And let's quickly go to IGR. Anything that country, government of a nation or a state can generate within that particular environment in order to continue to improve on the economy of that particular state is called internally generated revenue. I have a lot I have explored. IGR, that read something. Okay? However, my interest in all the slides I have is the one that concerns you. Leave every other one. Is that you can prove to this state that this is the income the state can generate from internally generated revenue. Oh, some people will say, should we now build more to do? It may not be that, but it's one of it. Even the current one we have, what happened to the market development life cycle of a product? You remember what you taught your student now, what you learned, development life cycle. Maturity trend of any product. When you start from zero, the product is growing. When you get to a certain stage, everybody knows the product. It doesn't necessarily even if you don't advertise. But one day, if there is perfect substitution, is what is coming down. Then you need to go and study Market Porter 5 forces of competitive advantage. You can write it down. Market Porter 5 competitive of gaining competitive strategy. Write it down. You see that you need to understand the environment in that crime to understand that a building that has been handed over to you can be remodeled. You know it, and it will have another value. In the process of regenerating the value of that building, you get new material. The material is produced somewhere. Taxes will be paid on it. Some staff will work on those material, and they will also get paid. They will also pay. Some labor will come and fix it. They will also get paid. They will also pay. The owner of the house will now have beautiful edifice, and that edifice will now attract people that are not ready to build their own, but they are ready to pack and plug and play. That is pack and continue to use. That web that I've created will definitely increase revenue of the state. How many of you are not from Osogbo today? How many of you are not from Osogbo? Some of you will not raise your hand, no problem. Even when all these prophets come, you didn't believe them, no problem. Just put up your hands down. Do you know that whether you like it or yes, you will buy water in this Osogbo? Even if you go and sleep in the house of your friend, it has its cost. But if it is hotel, what happens? You pay. That eventually has impacted on the economic of Osogbo. And I tell you this, when you talk about economic development, economy will not develop if there is no growth. So the first thing is economic growth. And growth is in size, number. Okay? So look at when you gave back to me, sir. The only prayer was, don't let him die, let him continue to grow. But now, if any of my teeth remove, it cannot come up again. This height, measure it. If I come here 2 years to this time, it can't increase. It's not possible. But do you know that when Wale know me, then there's nothing like this at the back of my head. So at a point when you grow sustainably, then you start developing. Then you see my tummy coming up, see my bum coming up, and the suit is no longer convenient to accommodate me. That's when you talk about development. So if you guys are able to understand the purpose for which you are certified, you will create economic activities within the estates that you certify on and create such value that will make your immediate environment to grow. When it is now up to number of growth, then there is no room for it again. Then you now be developing. You now say, okay, what is the name of this paint? Which one is that? When you touch it, emotion. You now say, let me use which other one now? Gloss. I don't want to use gloss. I want to do the one that when you scratch your body, it can scratch you. Which one? Test codes. That's developmental brain from some people. So you can't afford to be sleeping and say, I have certificates. For what? For what? And if you get to a time, look at the way some buildings are, they will have contour. You cannot say, okay, I want a FCC wallpaper. Now, wallpaper is no longer wallpaper. You now have this plastic one. No, when you place it, those are the people that are creating value in your field. And you can create that demand. You are very serious about what you are doing. Now, let me tell you, you will not make this profession to be successful if you remain to be local. And when I say local, I'm not saying you should travel. On your device, you can Google modern day building materials. You are not, I'm not saying you are a builder, but you are not a destroyer, are you? You are not a destroyer. So what I would have expected of you is that I want to advise my client that this is the material that is in vogue. Now, are you going to shut down the manufacturer of this fake one? No, but you force them to step up. When they step up, what happens to the economic of the state? It improves. And that is my message for you, that you can get it done. You can do it right with right advocacy. And like I said, we cannot conclude in this class because other will continue from what I've said. And you will permit me to go through my slide for those which I cannot talk, because I have about 40 slides. I know 40 slides mean 40 hours, but it doesn't matter. Please, let us come together to continue to improve the internally generated revenue in our state, because Yoruba will say, Irorun Igi. I don't know whether I'm correct. And if you have a trend and somebody is shaking the pole of that trend, whatever patches on it will not also have rest of mind. So if you don't create rest of mind, peaceful and consistent in your state, you cannot have peace. So wouldn't you rather create peace and peaceful atmosphere so that when you are coming with your visitor, one day you travel, you want your colleagues to come from America and follow you to your state, you will not be trying to block the view so that you will not see bad thing on the road. How can you enter a state and the next thing you see on the major road are bad thing? But you can help in doing that. It's on this note I want to say, distinguished seniors, professors, elders in our field, Thank you for allowing this small boy to talk. Thank you so much.
Noble colleagues, the fellow in the house, associates, probation, the students and the non-members here present. Please, I want us to please clap our hand better for Professor Godwin Emmanuel Oyedoko for the paper presented. Please, I would like us to go to question and answer, but because of the need for us to quickly call the second person who's going to present his paper so that we can have their question and answer period together, because they want to go back to their place now. Please, let me quickly invite the second person, the second presenter, a person of estate surveyor and valuer, Nika Omotosho.
German, the beats. German, the beats. German, the beats. Beats.
Please, the information is getting to me that Prof would like to take his leave now in the next few minutes. But while, please come in, sir. While, yes, Estate Surveyor and Valuer, Nika Omotosho is here. Please quickly prepare your question. We need 2 questions for Professor Godwin Oyedoko so that he can easily answer the question and go, because he has an appointment in his own school today, please. Please, do you have any question for Professor Godwin Oyedoko? Okay, sir.
Thank you, Ahmed. I say, you retired civil servant from Ilorin, Kwara State. Just a neophyte in this real estate profession. The question I wanted to ask, because we need to be widening our horizon. We need to be brightening our horizon on a daily basis based on what the prof says. I don't know whether we are going to get the soft copies of this training.
It's already here.
Okay, thank you.
There's no question. You want to ask? There's no question.
First of all, I want to thank the professor that you have taken us so far. How IGR can be created through our profession that we are into. And you talk so much about creating value. If we want to have very good IGR, and you also talk about advocacy. The two, I think, they go hand in hand. Because even when you want to tell people that they should do like this, how would they take it? Like Prof was telling you the other time about this, what was it? The land surface. Land charges. We went vehemently, to the government that it could not work the way you have highlighted it. But I want to tell you that even up to now, they are still insisting that that's how they want to do it, and it has not been working. What can a group of professionals do in such a case that you are advocating and people are countering it, or they are not taking it the way you want? I want you to look at that. Then secondly, sir, when you are talking of creating value, and we want to have IGR, and do you know that IGR, of course, you have said it in in your paper. IGR is for the government.
Yes.
But people think, especially in this our area, I'm not talking about Osun State alone. In Africans believe that when they own something, how can people charge them on what they own? They are God-given thing. How do you think government can go about it so that people will be made to understand that, of course, they have responsibility also to the government? I thank you.
Thank you, sir. My prof, I'm so sorry that the question is delaying you and making you to stand, sir. Sir, Motosho, I'm so sorry, sir. I'm so sorry. Okay. So I won't say because I'm in a hurry and then hurriedly answer the question. The issue is that when it comes to advocacy, you don't expect results in 1 year. But heaven will not forgive us if we don't continue to advocate. And when you are advocating, don't expect government to work. It is when you are expecting, some people are actually distracting this class. This is not the time to go around and be greeting your friends when professor is standing here. In fact, we are delaying him. Okay? So when you continue to say you want contract from government, you can't do advocacy because your integrity, your standalone, your independence is impaired. People that want to do advocacy will not want anything from that place other than for the general utilitarian theory. Check it. Doing good to the general, larger generality than a minute set of people. So that is what you will do. And continue to do it if you must remain relevant as an institution. When a professional institute is no longer on its own and challenging status quo, you have lost it. And you will not lose it in Inshallah or in Jesus' name. Now, if you tell people to do certain things and they are not doing it, check around, even those prophets. No, it's not everybody that accepted them. But whether we like it or yes, some of us that were not alive then, we are here and we have the story. The story will continue. But government, they are not daft. It's only that they have reason why they are in government and you are bringing your own. It clashes. But when they see advocacy, they don't sleep because I've worked with them. They don't sleep. They don't like it. When they see newspaper and they see your advocacy, they will quickly call themselves, what can we use to counter this? Well, if you have a superior argument, they will just come politically and say, we are working on it. But don't be tired. Don't be tired. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's just it. For the people in the profession, you are the one they will appoint as SA, commissioner for what? When you get there, what happened to the spirit of integrity you have here now? And when you get there, another thing happened. And I can tell you why, Professor sir. When you are just lecturer, you know the way we agitate. But when you get to that level, a Senate member, Senate approval is now sacrosanct, whether you are part of the people that voted for it or not. So at that level, Vice Chancellor that was head of ASU will no longer be able to do so. That is the spirit. But you know we can change it up to that level. But you must be ready to lose your job at first to regain that job. And I used to tell people, if you fail to be on the integrity part, that which you put together during the time of your lack of integrity can go one day. I can talk about this. Where is the immediate past EFCC boss? Where is Tafa Balogun? When they catch you, you will cry when the handcuffs come. Wouldn't you rather maintain this level that they call low level and you continue to have your family name on the good rather than join multitude to do evil? God bless you as you allow me to take my exit.
noble colleagues, on behalf of Nigerian Institution of Estates, Surveyors and Valuers, Osun State Branch, we want to sincerely appreciate Professor Godwin Emmanuel Oyedoku for his time and the paper he presented. We wish you a very safe journey as you go. Estate Surveyor and Valuer Jimmy Yinka Omotosho, please accept my sincere apology for keeping you standing beyond normal. I am so sorry for that, sir. Please, I want to read the citation of Estate Surveyor and Valuer Jimmy Olayinka Omotosho. Jimmy Olayinka Omotosho is the senior partner of J.O. Omotosho and Associates, a chartered surveyor and estate surveyor and valuer. He was the portfolio executive real service at Broad Property Service Limited, part of the CBRE affiliate network. He has over 30 years of experience and in-depth knowledge of valuation, corporate real estate consultancy, rating, commercial agency, from his time in both public and private practice in the United Kingdom. He has also worked with many organizations and firms, including the Valuation Office Agency in backing Essex, Countrywide Surveyor, Allied Surveyor, Chatham and Gloucester's Building Society, Turok's Borough Council, and the Frank Nigel and Co. Chartered Surveyor, all in the United Kingdom. Mr. Omotosho owed an executive MBA from the London School of Business and Finance, a postgraduate diploma in surveying from the College of Estate Management, University of Reading, and a BSc in Estate Management from University of Lagos. He is a fellow of Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyor, RICS, in the United Kingdom, and a fellow of Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuer, NIESV. He is a past chairman of RICS Nigeria Group and members of the RICS West Africa Market Advisory Panel. He also held several positions. As chairman, sub-chairman, and member of NISV education member, and various subcommittees, as well as member of the Professional Practice Committee of the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuer Registration Board of Nigeria, ESOBON. At this point, please permit me to welcome Estate Surveyor and Valuer Jimmy Yinka Omotosho as he presents his paper.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Noble colleagues, I will say good morning to everybody. It's always a pleasure talking and sharing my knowledge and my experiences amongst my colleagues. I would say this is the second time I will come to Osun State to deliver a paper for their Mcpd. I was here 5 years, I think 3 or 4 years ago. And during that time, this nice building was still under construction. And I thank God, coming back here, you've almost completed the building. I think you should clap for yourself, your Osun State Niesv branch. You've really done well. And it's good to see my old friends here, Pastor Oyeshiku, my good friend, the new chairman. I have here Mr. Demola Otitola, my very good friend and colleague. A few other Osun States. Where is James? James Fajuigbe, you are there? Okay. It's good to see you too, and a host of other people here in Osun State. Osun State, I consider to be part of the family. So it's always a pleasure. Now, the topic of today really is on the impact of multiple taxation. Can I have it on the screen, please? The impact of multiple taxation on real estate investments in Osun State. It's a very, very important topic, and it's not just for we estate surveyors and valuers, but it's also for the population, for the government, and other stakeholders in the state of Osun. If I might ask, are there anybody from government in this program? Anybody from the Ministry of Finance or Ministry of Lands in Osun State government? Are you here? Anybody? Oh, thank you, sir. Just one person. Because this, thank you, madam. This is very, very important, and it relates to everybody. Though the key players, the key professionals for this type of taxation when it comes to real estate are the estate surveyors and valuers. So if you are here from the ministry or if you are on Zoom, please note this. Once you are dealing with taxation on real estate in the state of Osun, the key professionals are the estate surveyors and valuers. Okay, just an overview of the Osun State. As we all know, Osun State was carved out of Oyo State some years back in 1991 by the then General Babangida during his regime. And its capital today is Osogbo, where we are. It's located in the southwest of Nigeria, as you know, and the state is landlocked, occupies over 9,000 square meters of land. It shares borders with Kwara to the north, Oyo to the west, Ogun to the south, and Ondo and Ekiti states to the east. So it's landlocked. That's just a population demography. This is a bit old. This is about 2016, 7 years back. But that's just to show you how the population of Osun State is growing. I think because the population is growing, there are a lot of childbirths in Osun State. That means you guys are very busy. Yes, okay. Now, this is just to show where it is in the map of Nigeria. You can see Osun State there. It's not a large state, but it still has an average size. Could we go on to the next slide, please? Okay. Talking about the economy of Osun State, the people of the state are mostly farmers. If I'm wrong, you can correct me, please. But majority of the population are mostly farmers producing such food crops as yam, maize, cassava, etc., etc. The cash crops grown include tobacco and palm produce. Transportation in the state is either by road or by rail, which I can confirm that coming down to Osogbo, I had to come by road. And I must say that coming into Osogbo, the round was very, very, very good. I don't want to use bad. And I think this is where the taxation issue will have to come in. Where are your taxes being used? Because if you have bad roads coming into a state capital like Osogbo, there's a question mark. Tourism, the state has rich cultural heritage, which is shown in their music, art, dances, dresses, and cultural festivals. When I saw music, I saw art, I remembered Davido. Davido comes from Osun State. So I can agree to the tourism information I have here. Areas of tourist attraction include the famous Ife Bronze, the Oromio staff, and so on and so forth. The state corporation is the Osun State Property Development Corporation, and those are the property types we have in Osun State. Tenement buildings, story buildings, block of offices, semi-detached houses, a few shopping centers, and so on and so forth. Okay, defining the terms. Taxation. When it comes to taxation, This is a compulsory contribution to the state's revenue. It's a revenue to the state's revenue, levied by the different government levels on income and business profits, or added to the cost of some goods and services, transactions as well. The inclusion of compulsory services to remind that evasion is punishable by law. It's punishable by law if you don't pay your taxes. But does this really apply in Nigeria of today? Not to talk of Osun State. The running of the government organs can be carried out effectively if funds are not available. The running of the government cannot be carried out effectively. The major sources of funds to run the organs by most governments all over the world are through taxes collected, real estate tax being a major source. Now, to confirm this, I had the opportunity to have worked in the Inland Revenue Valuation Office in the UK for a few years. And when it comes to taxation of real estate, chartered surveyors are hired to value, to assess anything real estate in the United Kingdom. All we did in the valuation office in those days was to value for probate, value for council tax purposes, which you call land use tax, land use charge here, value for inheritance tax, value for capital gains tax, anything taxable under the law. That was the role of the chartered surveyors in the United Kingdom. And they take this very seriously. They only employed chartered surveyors, like the normal estate surveyors and valuers here. So we had a key role and a significant role when it came to valuing for taxation in the UK. This should also be applied here in Nigeria and also in Osun State as a whole. Real estate tax is the tax levied on real property and transactions relating to it. Real estate taxation is a viable source of revenue for governments to fulfill their statutory responsibilities. As I've said, this is what is applicable in the United Kingdom. Now, the issue of multiple taxation is if you have so many taxes, which is lumbered on real estate. Now, it's a phenomenon which describes subjecting tax payments to more than once, often by two or more different authorities. So in the government department, you have the land use charge, you have the probate department, you have the titling or governor's consent department, all charging taxes on just one property. So that's multiple taxation on one property. Now, some of the real estate taxes here in Nigeria, which is also applicable to Osun State as in general, we have the capital gains tax, we have withholding tax, we have stamp duty, we have consent fees, according to Section 22 of the Land Use Act 1978. Now we have registration fee paid on instrument presented to the land registry for registration. You have land use charge. The land use charge, Lagos State, emulated by many other states, consolidates ground rents, tenement rates, neighborhood improvement rates into one single tax. Unfortunately, I have been informed that the land use charge has not been successful in Osun State to date. I know they first tried it about 3 or 4 years ago, but to date, it hasn't been a success. I can tell you for free that with land use charge, Osun State can make a lot of money. Osun State can make a lot of money just from land use charge if it is implemented effectively and the right professionals are being employed to do the assessments, which are estate surveyors and valuers. You don't start calling accountants, architects, agents, or quacks to assess for land use charge. We have to employ the services of the estate surveyors and valuers within the state of Osun. You don't start bringing in other estate surveyors from outside. You can bring them if you want to, just for more manpower. But I believe the estate surveyors and valuers within Osun State should be capable. They know the local market. They manage all the real estate and properties here in Osun State. So they are capable and they are most qualified to assess all the properties within Osun State for land use charge purposes. We have estate duties as well, payable in a case where the owner of the property has passed on or is deceased. We pay estate duties, probates, and all that. We have value-added taxes as well. So all these forms of taxation are the ways in which these are levied on real estate. And anything real estate applies to us estate surveyors and valuers, not medical doctors, not pharmacists, not accountants, not engineers. Now, a robust real estate tax administration system comprises of 1, it eases payment compliance by targeted payers, easy to administer and easy to collect, easy to calculate. Owner and administering authority can both easily determine the liability. I remember in the UK, the valuers assess the properties. Then the administrative part of the local authorities now calculates the liability. We assess, we give the rateable value or the council tax value. Now the administrators in the local authorities will now administer and calculate the liability from the valuation figure we have given to them. That is how it is done. In most cases, in the UK, the ratepayers or the taxpayers, they have a right to appeal if they think their taxes are too high. They have a right to appeal. And that's when you see ratepayers, they take we valuers to the valuation tribunal. So we have to defend the so-called valuation list. We have valued so many properties, let's say in this local authority, in this local area, we go to court and we defend the valuation list. So the ratepayers is either they come to court, to the tribunal themselves, or they hire their own private valuers. And then we negotiate, we defend the list. We can bring down the value, we can remain at the same value, or we might even increase the value, depending on the case. They have a right of appeal. I'm not sure if it is applicable here, but there, your valuations have to be fair and competent. 4, easiest management. Since property is immovable, unlike businesses which easily change location. 6, encourages property owners to regularize their title. So if you don't have the right title, you have the right to regularize your title easily. They will explain it to you and show you how it's being done. There is no shady business. Everything is transparency. And you can see how it's being done. Locational immobility encourages censors of properties to be known per location. Okay, now we have the impact of multiple taxation on real estate investment. Now let's talk about Osun State in general now. It is a disincentive to property development. Over 60% of Nigeria's population is living under the $2 a day poverty line, unfortunately. This is according to statistics. And the major routes to home ownership remain either outright purchase of homes or purchase of land and personal construction. So how many people can own a home. In the UK, we call it how many people can now come onto the property ladder. A graduate graduating from university today or last year, can they afford a home? Can they afford to buy land? Can they afford to build? In the UK, if you graduate today, you start work today or tomorrow, depending on your salary, you can buy a home by way of mortgage. But there's nothing like that here. If you don't struggle, or if your father is not rich to give you something to build on or give you one of his properties, it's quite difficult. Now, with high taxation, this could also discourage development as well in the country. Inconsequential charges. It brings about inconsequential charges to the first-time buyers, small and medium-sized scale enterprises who want to invest in real estate to grow their businesses. This is what I was trying to say regarding how do you now get onto the property ladder. It's very, very difficult because of all this multiple taxation on real estate. Low investors' confidence. It will not boost investors' confidence in the face of the present economic situation. The present economic situation in Nigeria, not to talk of Osun, in Nigeria alone now is very, very discouraging. Things are tough for the average man. Even the so-called rich are no more the same. They are also crying. Like they say, the rich are also crying because it's tough for everybody. Petrol subsidy has been removed. The dollar is going up, pound sterling is going up, everything, food is going up, everything you talk about is going up. I remember about 3-4 years ago, I came to deliver a lecture here, and I've come into Osogbo from Lagos, I filled my tank with about 20,000 naira. When I was coming to Osogbo yesterday, I filled my car with 60,000 naira. Can see the cost of petrol. And unfortunately, I can't walk to Osogbo from Lagos. You see, so things have gone up, everything has skyrocketed, things are getting tougher and tougher. We only pray that the present leadership or administration will look into this as soon as possible. Discourages the private sectors. It discourages private sector investment in housing. The Bank of Industry estimated that 21 trillion naira will be needed to close the housing deficit in Nigeria. I don't know how this would work, and I don't know how far this is true. But if private sector can play more role to bridge the gap, by multiple taxation is still a major challenge for this sector to make significant impacts. If the taxes are too much, how can they break even? Most developers now are crying. They don't want to do much development anymore. We have some clients in Lagos who are into JV developments, JV agreements, where you own your land and they come in, they build on your land, and you have a sharing formula of how you're going to split the development and what you built on the land. Most of them now, we have so many landowners who are ready to do JV, but the developers are saying construction costs have gone up. They're no more interested. So that side of our business is going down. And you see these big, very successful developers, once they see good land in a very good location, especially in Ikoyi or VI, they will jump at it. Now they will look at you and tell you, sorry, they're no more interested at the moment, unless the dollar goes down. But since I came back from the UK, in 2011, the dollar has not come down. It keeps going up, up, and up. And in the Nigerian society, what they say is, it go better. It go better. That's what the poor man says. It go better. But in Nigeria, I've not seen anything go better. It's getting worse and worse and worse. That is my own personal experience. Maybe some of you, it is getting better. Maybe, I don't know. But in my own experience, somebody coming from abroad and you say, Niger, it go better. The poor man will say, it go better. Oga, it go better. Oga, it go better. I said, me, I never see anything way better. Oh, it has not been better. It's getting worse and worse. Inimical to small and medium scale investors. Multiple taxation increases the running cost of small and slows down the growth of small and medium scale real estate investors. This is what we're trying to talk about. Small and medium sized investors, where we have different investors. They buy land, they build and sell, buy, build and sell. It has slowed down that process. This is not even about JV now. This is buying your own land, building 1 or 2 properties on the land and putting it back on the market. It is not common again in the market because of the multiple taxation. It will also lead to tax evasion and avoidance. Multiple taxation leads to cutting corners through tax avoidance and tax evasion. Now, this is very common in areas where majority of the rural sector don't pay taxes. You might get some rich people paying taxes in the capital cities like Osogbo. But when you go out to the rural areas out of Osogbo, how many people in the rural areas will pay tax? And if you start harassing these locals, they will tell you that they are not going to vote for your party next time. So what do? The government will now say, let them be, so that you cannot force them to pay taxes. You know, so it's kind of politicized when you have such a situation where because of taxes, people are not paying, they are avoiding, and you can't really harass them. Probable causes of multiple real estate taxation. Could you put it on the board? Okay, thank you. Probable causes. The next slide, please. Okay, that's it. Now, the root of all taxes is in our constitution, and the taxing rights are shared between the federal and state governments. This is the root of all taxes in Nigeria, for all taxes, not exclusive of real estate taxes. I'm talking generally now. Some states are yet to harness the gold mine which they sit on. I don't know what gold mine here is in Osun State, but there will be a gold mine here, and the state are yet to harness the gold mine. So that's another problem. Many states are unable to meet their obligations in terms of recurrent and capital expenditures. This is one of the causes why they just keep taxing real estate, and we have multiple taxation, because they don't know what other gold mines they have. They don't know what other resources, whether mineral resources, physical resources, whatever resources they have. They are yet to discover all that, so they keep on applying multiple real estate taxes, which is also affecting the industry as well. Now, the way forward. Can we have the way forward, please? The way forward, as estate surveyors and valuers, advisory to the state government, to other stakeholders, when it comes to taxes, the Inland Revenue, the Ministry of Finance, whatever it may be. This is the way forward, my own suggestions, and we can always look into all this as recommendations. Now, the right professionals should be employed. Like I said earlier on, The right professionals are the estate surveyors and valuers. This is what is done in other climes, in other developed climes, like in the UK, the US, Canada. The right professionals are employed in tax administration, tax assessments, property assessments, and valuations for taxation purposes. The right professionals are the registered estate surveyors and valuers. You have to come together, and we have to advocate for this in the state. The government must show transparency and accountability. Is this possible here in Osun State? You've had 2 or 3 or 4 different governments or governors over the years, and what have they done to show transparency and accountability? I'm not a politician, but I'm just speaking as a professional. These government workers or leaders have to show transparency and accountability. I would suggest that a robust GIS system should be installed and adopted in Osun State, if there is none at the moment. GIS system is the right place, the right thing to do, which will give you a lot of information about all the properties, their assessments, their sizes, their locations, their identifications, everything in the state of Osun. So if there are about 1 million properties that can be taxed in Osun, the government will not be only taxing 400,000 when we have 1 million in the state. So with the implementation of the GIS system, that will go a long way to improve transparency and accountability. Proper enumeration, and everybody should be involved in this process. 3, harmony among the tiers of government on property taxes, real estate transactions. This is the disharmony when it comes. This is disharmony when it comes to real estate taxation in the country and in the states in general. Number 4, regular review of real estate taxation so as to meet up with modern needs and challenges. As we know in our industry, in the real estate industry, even globally, even internationally, there are a lot of challenges. There are a lot of changes. There are a lot of needs. Things are changing every day. Technology is changing every day. We have climate change. We have COVID-19 pandemic. We have so many things changing the globe. We had Ebola some years back here in Nigeria. So many things are happening. Though most of the populace, or majority of the populace, do not believe in COVID-19. I have a gentleman living with me in my house in Lagos. He's from Osogbo. And during the COVID-19 pandemic, he never believed there was COVID. He just did not agree or accept COVID-19, to the extent that he came to Osogbo then to meet his family, and he was going up and down. And I kept telling him that you have to put on your mask, you have to do this, but he didn't believe. He said, COVID is only in Lagos. There is no COVID in Osogbo. Well, I pray COVID will not come back to Osogbo or come back to our country again and into the world. So many people did not believe about COVID-19, but things are changing and it's affecting our industry, it's affecting real estate, it's affecting everything we do and other sectors of the country. Now, just to conclude, with the various multiple taxes being collected by all government agencies at the state and national levels, the environment is clearly not conducive to investors. When I say investors, I'm sure the new governor, Governor Demola Adeleke, he believes and he wants to encourage foreign investors into the state of Osun. I know he believes in that because I know him personally. He believes in foreign investment. He has also lived abroad and he knows what foreign investment can do in the state of Osun. But with multiple taxation, he has to look into it because this would deter, this would discourage direct foreign investors coming into the state. It's very, very difficult. We have a lot of foreign investors in Lagos who come into Lagos for different things, but now all of them have slowed down. South Africans, Europeans, the Arabs, I mean, you name them, the British, they all used to come into Lagos for one transaction or the other, one deal or the other, one development or the other. Most of the malls, the modern malls being built in Nigeria of today are being done by foreign investors. The first mall built in Lagos, the Lekki Mall, the Palms in Lekki, was built by some South Africans. I was involved in that mall construction, so I know everything about it. And then other malls started springing up and other investments when it comes to property. But now things are so tough, you can't get them to come easily. They will be saying, we are watching the economy, we're watching the exchange rate, we're watching this, we're watching that. So everything has slowed down. So what such a thing leads is the investment, which is not good, especially in an economy of ours that requires stimulation for housing and the real estate sector. The real estate sector plays a major role in economics, and the accomplishment of a good property tax system is hinged on the availability of a sound framework which gives the taxation needed ground for its fruitful implementation. Once we have a sound framework and a very good property tax system, and that can only be achieved by using the professionals, the estate surveyor and valuer. Without that, I'm sorry, this will not work. And this issue of multiple taxation will continue to affect the real estate industry, also affect our taxes in the country, and also in Osun State of today. Ladies and gentlemen, before I leave, I will just give you a small story just to wake those who are sleeping up. It's just a teaser. And also, I want to encourage us as estate surveyors and valuers not to give up. Stand firm. Let us collaborate. Let us work together as professionals in the real estate industry in Osun State. Let us capture the market. Let us advocate with the government, and God will help us. Now, this teaser goes like this. We are in big trouble. Not in Osun State, though. This is just general. There are two young boys, Fred. One was Fred, one was Mike. And they were excessively mischievous, very naughty boys. The two were always getting into trouble in the village. And their parents could be sure that if any mischief occurred in their town or in the village, the two sons were probably involved in some way. In fact, everybody knew them in the village as troublemakers. They were troublesome boys, naughty boys. Now, the parents did not know. The parents did not know what they could do about these two sons, their behavior. The mother now heard, the mom heard that there was a clergyman in town who had successfully been disciplining children. So she asked her husband if he thought they could send their naughty boys to speak with this man of God. The husband said, we might as well try. We need to do something before I really lose my temper with these boys. Okay, the man of God agreed to speak to the boys willingly. but he asked to see them one by one. So he first of all invited the older brother, which was 9-year-old. The man sat the boy down and asked him sternly, "Where is God?" Again, the boy made no attempt to answer the man of God. Then the man of God got angry, and I said to the boy, I said, "Where is God?" With that, when the boy heard his voice, he bolted from the room. He ran out from that room. He ran directly to his house. Slamming his door, he now hid himself in his wardrobe. Then his younger brother followed him into the wardrobe and said, "Mike, what happened?" The brother said, "We are in big trouble. This time, God is missing, and they all think we are the ones who have stolen God." Thank you very much for listening to me. It's been a pleasure.
You can do better, you can do better, you can do better. If you are not the one that has stolen God, you can do better. Because where is God? God is everywhere. It's only when you don't believe. But I believe God is everywhere, and I know He's everywhere. I want to sincerely appreciate Estate Surveyor and Valuer Jimmy Olayinka Omotosho for the paper presented. Honestly, sir, you really opened our mind the more. God Almighty will increase your wisdom and the knowledge in Jesus' name. Thank you for the paper, sir. Before we go to the question and answer arena, while the lecture was ongoing, like I said earlier, I said all of us are so important, but some are more important than the others, either by age, by office or hierarchy, or one way or the other. We are much important than the other. Please permit me to recognize and welcome the chairman of Kwara branch of the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuer, in person of Estate Surveyor and Valuer, Pastor Oyedepo. Please, you are welcome to the high table, sir. While he is on his way coming to the high table, the chairman, that's the newly elected, the brand new chairman of Ekiti State chapter, that is Ekiti State branch of the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers. He also came in while the lecture was ongoing. Please permit me to welcome Estate Surveyor and Valuer Shola Ekundayo. Please, you are much welcome to the high table. You are welcome, sirs. Thank you for coming to our program. Thank you very much. Please, we are now at a question and answer time. Before we go to the lecture, to the question and answer time, please, I want to introduce to us, Yoruba used to call, there are classes of masquerades. You see some like dwarf, some with all like that. But you know, among all the masquerades, the most senior masquerade is here today. Please, I want every one of us to rise up on our feet while I introduce to us Estate Surveyor and Valuer. The Baba means B. The T after is teacher. That's teacher of all the teacher. B.T. Aluko. The one and only prof. B.T. Aluko. Baba is here. Baba, you are much welcome, sir.
It's Mary's.
Daddy, you are welcome, sir. You are welcome, sir. Please, we can have our seats. And the Bible even establishes it, said, give honor to what? Oh, the honor is due. Professor B.T. Aluko, you are welcome, sir. We appreciate you for your coming, sir. At this point, we need to go to the question and answer. Please. Okay. Okay, because of the importance of time, I have the instruction of the chairman to call on the next lecturer to deliver his own lecture. Then after all the lectures, then we will come up with our questions and the lecturers concerned, we answer the question. At this point, I want to humbly welcome the lecturer who is going to tell us. Let me reserve the area that will flog you and I as a practitioner. I want to reserve that to the last point because that speaks about our ethics. But at this point, let me come to the aspect of the legal part of it. The lecturer is going to tell us about the importance and the consequences of legal activities in tax IGR generation. Please permit me to welcome Estate Surveyor and Valuer Taiwo Oshikoya. While I read this citation, very brief and very small, just few pages, just few lines citation. Estate Surveyor and Valuer Taiwo Oshikoya. He is a lecturer at Ajayi Crowther University, a very young lecturer. You can see, looking at him, you know that he's a very young lecturer. That's, let me call him the great grandchildren to Professor P.T. Aluko. Great grandchildren. Well, at this point, he's a lecturer at University, Ajayi Crowther University, Oyo. He holds Masters of Science in Estate Management from the University of Lagos. He holds his Bachelor of Science in Estate Management from the same university. He is a lecturer, like I said earlier, at Ajayi Crowther University. He has taught in so many areas of this profession of estate management, and he has delivered a lot of lectures in some seminars, conferences, and others. And I can say it authoritatively, according to his citation, he has presented about 16 papers in the real estate and property management within and outside Nigeria. He has attended 43 conferences within Nigeria and 4 others outside Nigeria. He has gotten 25 awards and honors from different walks of life in the profession. He is a very young lecturer, like I said, and to the glory of God, he is happily married very soon. Let me give him the microphone to start in delivering of his own paper. You are most welcome, sir.
Good afternoon, my noble colleagues, and good afternoon, my senior colleagues. Well, permit me to stand on the existing protocol. ESV Matthew, you've actually done more than I asked you to do. Thank you so much. Well, I really want to appreciate the previous speaker for doing justice to the topic at stake. And they really laid a very good premise for this discussion. Well, I'm not a lawyer, but a lawyer normally says that everything legislative is legal, while everything legal is not legislative. Well, I want to speak on the topic, legal and legislative framework for property tax payments in Osun State. Okay, levying and collection of property tax plays a very important role in governance of Osun State. And in order to ensure the efficiency of tax administration and foster economic development, a comprehensive understanding of the legal and the legislative framework governing property tax payments is very important and is very imperative. So what this paper does is it actually looks at some background and analyze the legal provisions and examine some challenges and propose potential reform related to property tax payments in Osun State. Well, while we wait for the slide, I think we really don't have much time on our side. So let's look at the Osun State legislative property law. Well, the legal and the legislative framework for property tax payments in Osun State is governed by a series of statutes and regulations. And these have been actually evolved over time. And one of the significant of this law is the property tax law of Osun State. Well, in 2016, the Osun State House of Assembly, they passed into law the land use charge bill. And this law seems to harmonize the tenement rate collected by the local government and also the ground rent collected by the state government. But unfortunately, what happened was that this law suffered a major setback because it was enacted on that name tag, the state of Osun. So the hoteliers and the stakeholders, they took the government to court. And they were able to get what's called justice, and the law was actually repealed. And the court says that there is nothing like state of Osun. That what they know is what Osun State. So they got that judgment. But then what happened is that this law was later infused in the Osun State revenue law, because there's an Osun State revenue law apparently that is 2019. So they had to infuse this law into what the Osun State revenue law. And furthermore, the legal and the legislative framework for property tax payments in Osun State is also influenced by the national legislation, which we all know, which is what the Land Use Act. So now we want to look at the legislative provisions in other states. That's one as regards the property tax payments. And we'll be looking at some few states that has really looks a little bit successful, which some are like Lagos State and Enugu State. Specifically, I actually chose those ones. For Lagos State, in 2001, there was a land use charge that was promulgated. And prior to this, there has been a lot of tax that actually has been running in the state. And three of those charges are, we have the rates and the charges, we have the land development charges, ground rent and premium, and also tenement rates. And these charges are running side to side. But then in 2001, this law came, and this law was able to harmonize all these charges together to become what? The land use charge. So the assessment of this land use charge was through a very computerized system. Lagos State really adopted a computerized mass-based appraisal, which is the use of GIS. I think the previous speaker talks about the use of GIS. So they were able to capture most of this property, and they were able to include them. So this remains throughout 17 years, though this law, it has a lot of issues. And I think since the law is coming for the very first time, it has a lot of issues. And those issues were enormous. People actually, they revolt, and they fight against the law. And because I think they were over charges, probably they were overvalued and some other things. So after then, in 2018, another law was not enacted. So this law was able to smoothen the rough edges, and they were able to at least make some amendments, and such that they were able to cut 25 to 50% of the assessment rate. So this law was invoked, or is still invoked anyway. So it was able to make the land use charge a little bit more working. Let me just put it that way. So in Enugu State, similar thing happened in Enugu State, and I think similar thing also happened in Osun State too, whereby prior to the tax reform that happens in 2016, property owners were paying ground rent and personal income tax to the state government, and also tenement rates also to the local government. So the new law seems to now centralize all these taxes and make it a land use charge, which is now actually in place in Enugu State. And looking at it, there's actually a sharing formula from both local government and the state government. I think 55% goes to the local government, while 45% goes to the 55% goes to local government, 45% goes to the state government. So to ensure this, there were a series of steps that was taken. So sending demand notice, I think I have here, to the owner of the to the occupants, there is a time duration that they actually meant to pay when they got the demand notice. So I think it's 30 days here. But if they fail to pay after 135 days, their property will be subjected to receivership by the state and until they pay those taxes. So that's for Enugu State. So in summary, we can say that by examining this legislative framework provisions in other states, we can identify the common trends and best practices that has contributed to an effective and fair system of tax collection. And actually, comparison shines a light. Such a comparison shines a light on the unique aspect of the shortcomings in Osun State. So we can see that before the reform, so many laws have been in existence, but now that the reform has actually come to place to be, these laws, they've actually been harmonized and to become property tax law. Well, some of us will be wondering that why is that we are talking about the land use charge? Well, it's not the land use charge is not only the property law that exists in the state. We also have some other documentary charges or transactional charges. But most of those charges, I would say they are one-off. So they are not recurrent like the land use charge, because the land use charge is something that actually that's meant to be paid every year, yearly. So those ones are like the capital gain tax and the documentary that like government concerns and the likes. They are actually fixed, and I think they are a little bit more active than the land use charge. So let's look at the importance of the tax payments on the economy of Osun State. So according to a report by the Osun State Board of Internal Revenue, property tax contributes a substantial percentage to the state's revenue. And this allows the implementation of key infrastructure projects such as road construction, healthcare facility, and educational initiatives. And again, property tax has also been a pillar for funding development projects in Osun State. And it's also enabled the government to provide essential services and improve the quality of life of the citizenry. And some may argue that property tax creates a burden for the property owner, or potentially leading to reluctance of investors to invest in the state. But however, it is important to know that the property tax payment is a legal obligation that contributes to the overall well-being of the state. And the proper implementation and enforcement of these property tax payments in Osun State have a positive impact on the economy. It's also enabled the government to finance key projects, which I've also mentioned earlier. So I want us to look at the assessment for legislative framework for the property tax payment. How do you assess it? Number one, we have some strategy that I put in place. Number one is to examine the clarity and the accessibility of this tax payment information. The effectiveness of the public awareness and campaign and ease of payment process. By doing so, we can actually determine the existing framework that actually encourage taxpayers to fulfill their obligation. And also, we have to look at the willingness of taxpayers to comply by not viewing this in isolation. We must also consider the relations to measures put in place by the taxpayers. For example, understanding the level of cooperation between the Tax Assessment Board and the relevant law enforcement agency. And this can shed the light on the framework ability to enforce the compliance. And again, one thing that is very important now is the issue of penalty and sanctions for defaulters. I think Lagos State has been able to do that. They were able to sanction and enforce, to give an enforcement on people that are faced to pay their tax. That's the property tax. Well, by analyzing this mechanism, we can see that the responsibility assigned to Tax Assessment Board is a comprehensive assessment that can be conducted and can be analyzed. And it is also identify area of potential reforms. So let's look at the challenges of property tax payments in Osun State. Now, number one challenge is the lack of awareness. Well, when people are not aware of something, they really don't understand the nitty-gritty, what actually is all about. They are bound not to actually appreciate what they have. So the lack of awareness is very important because this has to do with what? Revenue generation. So the lack of awareness contributes to a low rate of revenue collection, and also property owner may not understand the importance of their contribution to the state development. Well, the existing administrative infrastructure for the tax payment in Osun State is often insufficient. When I mean infrastructure is the facility in place in terms of what collection. And here we also have a lack of proper administrative infrastructure, computerized record keeping that hamper the effective enforcement of tax payments law. And additionally, we have issue of resistance from property owner, which is fueled by their mistrust. And truth be told, when you are collecting tax and people really cannot see what you are doing with the car tax, it is really a big deal. And people will tend to be against it. It's just normal public sympathy. If people see that you are actually doing something with this, revenue, they will be actually, they will be happy and willing to give their contribution, and they will also be willing to contribute to the the development of the state. So let's look at the way forward. Solutions to these challenges. Number one is to address these challenges by prioritizing awareness campaign and educational initiative to increase property owners' understanding of their obligation and the benefit association to the payment of property tax. And second one is to improve the administrative infrastructure, including the implementation of computerized record-keeping system that can streamline the collection process and enhance compliance. For instance, I think in Lagos State, there is what's called property. Each property has a number. When you get to the land discharge office, they will impute your number and every details about your property will come out. I don't know if Osun State also have that. And equally, addressing these challenges is looking at the overall development and ensure that there is a fair and equity system of property tax payments. So by also examining successful case study of property tax payment system in other states or countries, valuable lessons can be learned and effective strategies can be put in place by implementing this law. So in conclusion, by incorporating the best practice, addressing the challenges and ensuring the effective enforcement of the property tax payment system, of the property tax payment system, it's going to help develop the economic, develop the state through the revenue increase and revenue boost. Thank you very much. So much.
Noble colleagues, please, you can round up very well. Give him a round of applause. A round of applause, a round of applause. Please give him more. Estes of Young Vanua, Taiwo Shikoya, Omokikiri Abiwagbaniku. We want to sincerely appreciate you, sir, for the lectures and the people you have presented. At this point, I want to invite to the podium one of our father in this branch, and is one of the speaker for today. Sir, the chairman, sir, if I have your permission, I want to invite to the podium Estate Surveyor and Valuer Sikiru Adewoji. You are much welcome, sir. He's going to lecture us on ethical practice of property tax generation in Osun State. The role of estate surveyors and valuers. At this point, noble colleagues, please, I want us to be much attentive even than before, because this is where you will know either you are just or you are not. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, noble colleagues and participants. Please permit me to stand on the already established protocols. I'm here before you to share my thoughts on the topic, ethical practices for property tax generation in Osun State, the roles of estate surveyors and valuers. When you look at the whole world, governments all over the world, they are constituted or put in place to ensure the welfare of the people. How? Through social, economic, and environmental development of the people by efficient management of both man-made and natural resources. And equally, they are supposed to provide the basic infrastructure for the people. This presupposes that the government must create an enabling environment for the citizens to achieve their full potentials. So this also shows that the purpose of government is to make sure that everybody can live safely and comfortably, irrespective of class, without molestation and oppression of the third party. This is clearly stated in our Nigerian Constitution. Nigerian Constitution 1999, Chapter 2, Section 14, Subsection 2B. If you go down memory lane, the Elizabethan Poor Relief Act of 1601. In 1600, there were crises in England that culminated in young ones and people looting the properties of the rich. Concerted efforts were made to stop these lootings and crises, but to no avail. People that were arrested were prosecuted and they were put in jail. After a while, the government had to sit down. Can this solve the situation? They said no. So the only way they can solve the problem is to bridge the gap between the rich and the poor. And that culminated in the enactment of that law. That is Elizabethan Law, Poor Relief Act, Tax of 1601. It is also legitimate for government to manage the resources within its jurisdiction for the benefit of the people. What are the resources? We have both man-made and natural, and for the benefit of the people too. It has the advantage of what? Poverty reduction, and also generate income. We are in the modern age. Globalization is all over the place. There is urbanization, modernization, and whatever. And the occurrence of these things, they come in their wake, certain challenges, which we have to sort out. And having said that, I will go straight to describe the concept of ethics, tax in itself, property tax, and ethical practices for property tax generation in Osun State. Now, before I go further, let me just mention this. When you look at our institution, the Nigerian Institution of Estimates and Valuers, and the Estate Surveyors and Valuers Regional Board of Nigeria, the two bodies, they attach so much importance to ethics. Because any mankind, if you don't have ethics, you have got nothing. And what does ethics mean? It's a branch of philosophy that is concerned with what is morally good or bad, right or wrong. When you refer to the institution or the board, we have our code of conduct, which shows us how to practice profession without bringing the institution into disrepute. What are the basic components of ethics? There should be discipline. We should have transparency. There must be independence. There must be accountability. There must be fairness, and there should also be social responsibility. The International Evaluation Standards demands that evaluator should comply with the following ethical principles in all professional jobs assigned to him. I've mentioned integrity, which has to do with being truthful and honest, and that is why the motto of the institution is christened honesty and devotion. Then the aspect of objectivity, we should not allow a conflict of interest or undue influence or bias to override professional or business judgments. So when you're given a job as a professional, you should be objective, and under no circumstance you allow your personal interest to undermine the interest of your clients. Then the next one is competence. Most of us, we went through university education. After our graduation, we had our pupillage in a privatizing firm or whatever. After that, we have attended a series of conferences, as well as this type of program we're having today, the Mcpd. All these are geared towards making us a fully baked estate surveyor and valuers. So when you're not given an assignment, you have to bring to bear all those expenses, training, to ensure that whatever report you write is a quality one. In addition, it keeps us abreast of innovation that is happening around the world, because the world under which we operate is not static. It's very dynamic and it's very volatile. Things are changing every day. So that's the more reason why we cannot just remain in our cocoon. We have to keep ourselves abreast of new technology, innovations that is happening around us. Then confidentiality. As a professional, you should be able to show confidentiality of information you are given by your clients. We have an advantage position as Osun and valuers. If a client approaches you that he wants to sell his property, you will declare or divulge all the information. If one is not disciplined, you might use that information at the detriment of your client. But you should not disclose the information given to you by your client to a third party without proper and specific authority. Then professional behavior. We have to conduct ourselves in such a manner that will not undermine the reputation and integrity of our institution. So specifically, why are ethics important in the first instance? Like I said, information advantage over their clients in terms of corresponding sense of responsibility, take appropriate safeguards, and make necessary disclosures where necessary. That is, if for peradventure, as a private surveyor and valuer, you are giving information about a particular property, you must be able to disclose your interest if you are interested to the client. We are producing crop of young and experienced surveyors, and they need to be guided. So that is why we have to, all this time-tested wisdom is being passed on to our young ones. Then finally, professional ethics often get promulgated by a professional organization. Like we have our laws, rules, ethics that guide us. And if anybody err or violate any of these ethical principles, he or she will be sanctioned. Then what is tax? The immediate past speakers, they have done justice to that, but I want to just define succinctly what tax represents. Tax is a compulsory levy paid by the citizens of a country, state, or community to a constituted authority. But it doesn't end there. It goes further to say, for the support and promotion of specific objectives of the government. So the key element in that definition is that, one, tax is a sum of money paid, except of relief or exemptions. Like in Osun State now, the land use charge gives some exceptions to some properties. Then two, the sum of money is mandatory to be paid by persons, it's compulsory. It's not optional. By individual, corporate system, it paid to a constituted authority, it is compulsory. And the amount so paid is meant for a purpose. And what is it for? Public purposes. So let me now narrow it down to the business of the day. The property. What is property tax? Property tax, they are primarily imposed on land and building. That is taxes on a real property. It means land and building, anything that is primarily erected or attached to the land is taxable. In the words of Kanwai and Kuzaya 2003, they said property tax is a compulsory levy imposed by a taxing authority, which is based on the value of the property in transaction. In Latin words, they said ad valorem, means according to value. It is imposed by a tax authority of the jurisdiction within which the property is located. And the authority may be federal, we have state, and we have local government council. The federal government council can now do it. They don't need to delegate to relevant agencies. In Nigeria, we have the Federal Inland Revenue that does it. In Osun State, we have Osun Internal Revenue Service that does it. It's an annual tax on ownership or operation of property, and it is based on the value. As a factor of production, land or real estate, it has certain characteristics which make it suitable for tax base available to governments. And I want to mention just a few of them. You know, property, by its very nature, it is immovable. You cannot say because taxes in this neighborhood is lower, let me move the price to that place. It's fixed. You can't move it to a less paid tax environment. It is indestructible. You can't destroy land. It is fixed. Then it's also an edge against inflation, that is, that value appreciates in value over time. And that makes it possible for government to project. Okay, since I'm spending so much, it's also, you can project your budget based on that. And also it is heterogeneous. That is, no two properties are the same. And you can structure it according to variations in the physical features. According to our leader and one-time president of this country, Ifediora, he said property tax can be classified under five major groups. We have the landed property income, that is number one. Landed property income, we have two sub-edge, which is income tax from withholding tax, as well as turnover tax from property companies. The second classification is taxation on property ownership. So you mentioned property rates, site value rates, planning rates, betterment rates, and sanitation rates. We know property rates. I talk about tenement rate, whatever. Site value rate is called split rates. This one is used to discourage speculation. Planning rates, all the various planning approvals that we take, so other layout approval, building approval, those are charges from planning. Betterment charge, if for a peradventure you have a building somewhere which is landlocked, and government through infrastructure development, they now constructed a new road there. It is littered with electricity, so you have to pay betterment levy. Some people call it development levy. It happens all over the place. If you go to what is it called? Elizabeth Estate. It's a private estate. It's a beautiful one. It's well laid out. You have road, you have this thing. As part of the charges to be paid by a successful allottee, it's what we call development levy. Then sanitation rates. In Osun State, we have this environmental protection agency moving from this. It's mandatory. You have to pay sanitation rates. Then taxation of capital. That is the third classification. We have capital gain tax. We have capital transfer tax. That is under capital gain tax. And what I mean by capital gain tax, ideally capital gain tax should be the gain component of any transaction. If I acquire a property about 2 years ago, and maybe I sold it for a particular amount, the difference between the sales price and the acquisition cost, having deducted all the other expenses, is net profit to me. This net profit should be taxable. But unfortunately, in Osun State, when you go to the Internal Revenue Service, just say, what is the value of property? It was so much, and you have to pay 5%. This is prohibitive. Then capital transfer tax. Capital transfer tax, you can equally call it inheritance tax. If you want to obtain, if somebody died intestate and he has properties, that is somebody who died without a will, before you can do anything with that property, you need to obtain letter of administration. Now, it is unfortunate that because of this prohibitive rate, many people are trying to circumvent payment of property tax. Instances are banned when you see the bereaved, the beneficiaries, the heirs, the successor entitled to, they will hold a meeting among themselves and say, okay, this document could not be located, we can't find it, let us do a resolution. They will not do a resolution and sign it. Then they will back it up with affidavits. Having done that, they will not dispose the property without making recourse to the high courts. So that is for capital transfer tax. The fourth one, they call it succession inheritance tax too. We have capital transfer tax under it. We have inheritance tax, gift tax, we have estate duty or probate tax. The documentary taxes, that is the list, the last one. So here we have stamp duty on land documents, registration order fees, we have consent fee, we have rent control development. In Osun State, in fact, on a single property, you pay close to 40% of the value. And ask me the analysis. By the time you pay 10% consent fee in the ministry, apart from other adjuncts between the assigner and assignee has to make sure that you have your tax certificate, personal income tax certificate up to date for 3 years. That is one. You pay for this registration, that's another one, that's in the ministry. Then you now move to internal revenue to pay capital gain tax and stamp duty. Stamp duty is 3%, capital gain tax is 5%, making 8%. By the time you had 8% to 10%, fraction of deed of assignment and other money is a lot of money. So it's about 40%. Rent control restrictions. In Osun State, it is not obtainable. As a matter of fact, the rent tribunals are yet to be constituted. So the issue of rent control restriction is not applicable in Osun State as we talk. Then development land charges. I've spoken about that one. Grant rent by holders of federal, state, and local government. This amounts to double incidence of taxation. Assuming I'm a holder of a property within the local government council scheme, and I pay my land use charge. By the time you want to do anything in local government council, they'll be asking for grant rent payments. That is double taxation. Let me share my experience with you. A couple of days ago, we have a document we want to perfect in one of the council. The man said, okay, we have not paid grant rent for a period of time, 10 years. He now calculated it up to date. The property in question too has been served with land use demand notice. How do we now distill the grant rent component? That is double transition. So let me just briefly describe the of a few taxes that we have around. I've spoken of land value tax. Land value tax is also called split rate tax. It is a tax that is basically on land components. It is being used to discourage speculation among people. So in countries like, is it Jamaica or whatever, the land value tax is very high, so as to discourage speculation. And in some countries, it's at par with both land and building. So it is used to discourage speculation. We have road tax, which must be paid by every vehicle before the vehicle is placed on the road. We have tenement rates. That used to be the standard before the introduction of land use charge. It is a constitutional right of the council to charge tenement rate. And how it is done, they have to carry out valuation exercise, they prepare valuation list, and that valuation list, it's on the basis of that, they will now apply their own rates, a multiplier to it, to the value of each property, because they determine the rate payable. But unfortunately, because of ineptitude, lapses, lack of capacity, skill, even finance on the part of the local council, this particular job or assignment has been hijacked from them by the state government. Although I believe to a school of thought that this thing should not be so, because we have lapses with the state government too in some areas. And because of that, the federal government has not hijacked any of those services they render. So now that we have our people in the council, we have seasoned, competent surveyors in the council. I want to suggest that if these taxes could be given back to them, and the government will be better for it. Then the land use charge itself is a consolidation of three taxes, three components. We have the aspect of ground rents, we have the aspect of neighborhood improvement charge, and we have the tenement rate itself. So the law on this came up in 2016, Osun State Land Use Charge Law 2016. It is being anchored by the Ministry of Finance. They have started sending demand notices to properties. But my own assessment of the program is that abysmal performance. It has not succeeded at all. The reasons for this are not far-fetched. One, if you look at the basis of the value on which those formulas are based, their formula says LUCM times LA times LV times so. It looks somehow unprofessional. So they will have commissioned estate surveyor and valuer to prepare valuation list, which is subject to review every 5 years according to the law. So that is the first thing. Most people that connect, I remember when they started the program, one guy just came to my office. He said, how many rooms are in this office? I said, what is the purpose of the exercise? No measurement, nothing. But in the demand notice, I think they have gone some step ahead. One, they normally affix the photograph of the structure or the property in the demand notice for service charge. They will give you the value they arrive at. They will tell you the date, the location, the address of client, and the rest of the stuff. As part of measures to encourage early payments, they will say, okay, if you pay within 15 days of this notice, you'll be granted a concession of about 50%. If you pay on the due date, you pay the actual amount demanded or something. But if you pay after, penalties are attached, it's graduated. So that is about a land use charge. Then development levy. I've said that development levy, when you have an estate of about 10 acres, maybe in that 10 acres, you have about, say, 50 plots. So you now calculate the cost of bringing road, cost of electricity, cost of drainage, whatever. You now divide that cost by total number of plots. When you divide this, you now get your rate per square meter. It is that rate per square meter that you now use to multiply land area or land size given to a particular lottery. That is your own portion of the charge. Then value-added tax. It is federal government that collects value-added tax. If you look at this value-added tax, I think it starts some resemblance with capital gain tax. I don't know. So, but it is VAT, it's federal government that collects value-added tax. According to the definition I have here, it says transactions on land and real properties are VATable according to Section 4 of the Value-Added Tax Act 1993. And this charge is collected by the federal government at what? 5% of the capital value of land or property. Where property or land owned by an individual group of body as appreciated between the time of purchase and the time of disposal. You know, it has some resemblance with them. Then it is basic that capital gain tax will be paid by the beneficiary or beneficiary of capital gain or the beneficiary of we have undue advantage over other tax investors. So that is double taxation. By the time you pay VAT to the federal government and you pay capital gain tax to the state government on a single property, it is unethical. Then split rates property tax is similar to site value tax. They call it two-tier rate. Is in Connecticut and most of other states, land and building are assessed and taxed as one unit at same mean rate. So land and building, if you tax them at the same mean rate, it is not advisable for somebody to keep in their sites because you are being put at a disadvantage. But in Pennsylvania, about 16 cities are allowed to tax land at a higher rate than buildings and other property improvements. So that is split rate. Now in Osun State, let me just go through what is happening in Osun State. The state government law, Tax Osun Revenue Law 2019, it is a document that contains, among others, all items of internally generated revenue of the government. The government contains various revenue items stating in clear terms the revenue or economic costs, revenue aid, and rates at which land use charge and other property tax form a part. It's a compendium. Prior to the passage of the land use charge law 2016 in Osun State, urban local government in Osun State conducted tenement rates. I can remember vividly, we have central local governments, Ilesha West, Osogbo, and Ede North. It was a very comprehensive assignment handled by some of our members in the states. We wrote the evaluation reports, we prepared an evaluation list, but lo and behold, they never worked on that. And that was one of the justifications for the states to hijack that role from the state governments. So, however, because of the ineptitude, lack of capacity, skills, and ability to handle disagreements, litigation arising from disagreement, it forced the state government to hijack through statutory rule from the local government council. So we have tenement rates, neighborhood development tax, and grant rates. They now come under single tax called land use charge. Land use charge is also bedeviled with a lot of irregularities, which is responsible for their business performance in revenue generated in this state. I've mentioned it. So the assessment, the determination, and the collection are not done by registered surveyors and valuers. Other taxes, private taxes obtainable in the states include, we have probate tax, capital gain tax, stamp duty, consent fee, annual grant rent reparation. Now, let me go to probate tax. We have pockets of lawyers who undo such assignments. With my over 30 years in practice, I've never written any reports for probate tax violation. And people do go there, do piecemeal to process. How are these values determined? Then it is important to mention too, that many a time, people, because they know fully well that if the actual value is done, it might be too excessive and also probably unaffordable. They now decide to go through the other way. But later in my recommendation, I will tell us what to do. So the apathy of taxpayer to these taxes is traceable to unaffordability, corruption, double taxation, and lack of transparency and accountability on the part of government. Then in addition, absence of infrastructure projects for which the taxes are meant. To encourage taxpayers to fulfill their civil responsibility, it is important that the multiplier or the rate or a percentage attached to the rate should be reduced and made affordable in the spirit of the principle of convenience of taxes. For example, the state government charges 10% as consent fee for assignments, 5% for capital gain tax, 3% for stamp duty, 10% for probate tax, apart from fulfilling payment of other personal income tax by the two parties. These taxes are prohibitive and also disincentive to investment by rational investors. Because if you want to attract direct foreign investment, even local investments, you have to give them tax holiday. By then they are coming and they look at their projection, they look at their whatever, and discover that even before setting up the something, they have paid through their nose, then it will not be attractive to them and they will just go. So we need it. I think this is a growing state. Let the investors come. When they get stabilized, let us encourage them. You can give them tax holiday. When they get stabilized, you can now start paying taxes. And they will not raise any eyebrow. They will not raise any eyebrow. So the taxes are prohibited. So in most cases, and every sort of the system, applicants, they are tempted to consider the true value of their properties or to reduce their tax obligations. So people don't disclose true information about their properties. And this is also a very important, because if we are honest to ourselves, by the time you reduce these rates, people will be willing to do it the right way. And when they do it the right way, you can use any information collected from that arrangement, even as a database. Yes, instead of charging 10%, why can't you reduce this to say 2-3%? Some governments in the world, that is what they adopted. They wanted a database that is sustainable and realistic. They reduce this rate, people now come, after a while they start increasing it gradually. These steps impact negatively on the tax collected, which inevitably affect desired objectives. Consequently, all the stakeholders involved in practice tax generation in the state must embrace ethical practices in the assessment, determination, and collection exercise. The state government on its part must show transparency and accountability, and the process of tax collected should be deployed to fulfill the statutory obligations to the citizen. Briefly, the roles of SSR in privatization. One, identification of reliable property is one of our jobs, sources of revenue to the government. We have to take in cognizance properties as exempted. So when you are doing valuation as an observer for property tax purpose, you have to look at the law. What are the properties exempted? In Osun State, the land use charge exempted a number of properties. We have churches that are not profit-making, not churches that are profit-making, churches where they are doing strictly gospel work. Mosque, basically Islamic work, public buildings, palaces of obas, shrines, some NGOs that you know they are antecedents, that they are not making profit from the NTGO, grant them exceptions. And if peradventure along the line, the status changes, then you have to bring them into the tax net. If it is mid-year, it has to be promoted for the rest of the year. But if it is at the beginning of the year, you have to bring them to the tax net. Then we should work out strategies on how to collect this revenue and tax. Good enough, you are in the days of IT, most payments are now done online. So maybe a dedicated government account should be open, where such money should go, either through remitter or whatever. And two, this type of money should not be lumped with other sources of income from government, but there's a purpose for it. If you look at the definition of tax, it is a tax collected by authority and paid by the citizen for a purpose. It's not a joke. The state government is broke. Let us go to the poor and pay salary. You should not do. By the time you do that, one, to collect subsequent something will be a difficulty because you have failed in your own terms of the contract. Advising on practical value and the basis of value to which tax is applicable. That is our job. Direct collection or collaboration with governments for the purpose of collection. In this, I want the external value can collaborate with the state government in the collection and not to be handled strictly by the external valuers. Then advising on revaluation and the power tenement rate or whatever is said every 5 years. I don't know because of the changing environment, volatility in the world and the rest of the stuff, if this thing can be reduced to 3 years. Approval in whatever laws. Attending to and resolving complaints from property owners. Then there is provision for establishment of appeal tribunal where issues arising, complaints, whatever arising from something are charged for adjudication. There's a surveyor and valuer. You have to agree on the terms of engagement, including professional fees payable. Now, the challenges faced by the Nigerian tax systems, according to DBA and DBA 2020 and Okauru 2012, are evident in the tax system across the level of government in Nigeria. And this negates the principles of equity, fairness, convenience, as well as simplicity, certainty, and clarity. Osun State is not an exception. Specifically, the charges surrounding Nigeria as it relates to the 3 tiers of government and Osun State inclusive. One, there is lack of robust network. If the network is not robust, there's every tendency to probably exclude some people. It is unfortunate in this country that most of the people that pay tax are the less privileged, the downtrodden. The high network individuals that don't pay tax, and by extension, I won't quote anybody. Even all this electricity that we're talking about, somebody was telling me a couple of days ago that most of the buildings you see in the GRA, all these big buildings, they don't pay electricity. And they will be embarrassing the paupers, the downtrodden. So there should be a robust framework that will capture everybody. So that by the time an obedient taxpayer sees this, it will be spurred to continue to pay. But by the time he realizes that some people are not captured, they are not paid, it will stop from payments. Then obsolete tax law has to be revisited, which do not take into consideration economic reality in the country, creating convenience for taxpayers. Let me give you an example. In Jamaica, as part of measures to ease the problem of taxation, in their enforcement, they are not forced. What they do is that they engage in dialogue. They call it, I think there are 2 approaches they use in Jamaica. One is called assimilated, the other one called cynical. Assimilated is the one that has to do with, okay, if this taxpayer is very considerate, is very reasonable and responsible, then you can now, okay, do we allow him to pay instrumentally? But if it is cynical, they will make sure that the full route of the law is put in place. So that is in addition, most of the tax laws do not take into cognizance the harsh economic reality that we are facing as a nation. These challenges are stated by Olokoba et al., as well as corruption and frauds, are the things that derail and the compliance level of citizens to tax payments, which at times make tax authorities to exert force to comply to tax laws. Then accountability on the part of governments. Maybe there should be an avenue in this radio or whatever, mass media, where from time to time government will now be feeling there should be feedback, like what is done in Lagos State when they do their land discharge law. So there's a program they call Up and Up, feedback, feed through. So maybe, I don't know whether it is done quarterly or whatever. So in this month, so much have been realized from land discharge. These are the things we want to do with the money. That should serve as encouragement to taxpayers. So accountability is very important instead of using aggressive tax method. Then double taxation, I've mentioned it, should be avoided. It's incentive. Then disharmony of tax administration among the tiers of government. Property owners are meant to pay grand rents to federal government, state government, and local government. There's need to harmonize this in order not to sniffle life out of the investors, thereby discouraging investment. Clandestine, substantial brass involvement of touts in tax collection should be discouraged. It's normally rampant at local government level and state government level. So coercion, threats, penalties, forfeitures should be avoided. The engagement of non-professionals in termination of acquisition party should also be discouraged. In Osun State, there's a formula that is adopted, but this formula, you cannot even use this formula without bringing in somebody, an expert, because we are talking of land value, property area, property value, then PCR. So there's no, we're not talking of value. It is prerogative of the LSU and value, because when you say LA, the LA stands for land area in square meters of the property in question. The LV is the average land value of parcel of land. Who will determine that? It's not just a value. They are in the neighborhood, then per square meter too. You're talking of BA, that is the total floor area of the building on the plot of land in square meters too. You're talking of total floor area of the apartment, net any building which apartment has a separate ownership. Then BV, that is the average value of medium density buildings. So I'm not talking about who determines it. How are these values determined before they arrive at the figure? And that is the genesis of the failure of the current land use charge we have in the Osun State. Little or non-availability of database with the introduction of formula is also a predicament. And that's why I said in the first instance, instead of asking people to pay 10%, and they will be circumventing, why can't you reduce the rates to something that is affordable? Everybody will key into it. We now have a broad-based data to work on. Then complex nature of our tax law, so has to be looked into. Then we have problem of evasion and tax evasion and tax avoidance. One, tax evasion is a criminal offense when you evade tax in some countries. But tax avoidance is manipulation of information that they use for your assessment to pay a lower tax. Tax evasion is not paying tax at all. Then the way forward, one, we have to streamline collection system. We have to ensure good, effective, and efficient tax system. We have to introduce tax technology. These days of IT, so land information system, geographical information system, cadastral spreadsheet. These days, when people do valuation, they use their Google map, whatever, to capture the building. So the era of probably undervaluing or value is over, because you have to tell us the solution which is going to be captured, and you attach it as addendum to your valuation report. Then positive should be there, at least to increase people's tax awareness and sensitization. The simplicity in tax law. Prompt refund of overpaid tax. If anybody pays more than what he's supposed to pay, or you pay into the wrong edge, there should be a mechanism through which this thing should be amended. And not to tell the payer that, okay, this money should be used to offset your tax in the subsequent year, because where lies the time value of money. Then you have to give autonomy to authority to some extent. The elimination of tax in tax administration, not only in personal income tax, but also property or premises tax. The process of tax, like I said, must be used judiciously to encourage subsequent payment by citizens. So if this tax is collected, the proceeds of this land use charge should be used. Then you have to strengthen tax agents in such a manner that they will not be bought over by claims. In the course of doing enumeration and valuation of these properties, knowing fully well that the purpose is meant for taxation, they might want to probably give information that will undervalue it. But once these people are giving encouragement, reward system to the officers involved, nobody will buy them over. Setting up special tribunal for issues arising from complaints, and then imposing mild penalty on tax defaulters. So I'm always on. So the concluding part, conclusion and recommendation. From all I've said so far, I think it is crystal clear that government can no longer rely or depend solely on allocation from treasury accounts to prosecute its statutory obligations related to the citizen. So as we have identified that property tax is a reliable tool and also a sustainable source of revenue for one, poverty reduction, two, wealth distribution and redistribution, and development control. So it has three basic importance. In the area of development control, charges payable is based on total built-up area of the building. This has the tendency to encourage market dynamism, forces of demand and supply, and reduce cost of rent. The second aspect of my conclusion has to do with, while implementing the enforcement policy of the state governments, it is recommended that coercive force, rather, a facilitated or passive approach, which has been confirmed effective in Jamaica, should be deployed. This will encourage interpersonal relationship between the collecting officers and payers. The rates adopted for private tax are very prohibitive and do not reflect the economic realities of the country. Consequently, taxpayers conceal of fail to disclose the true value of their properties. This has a negatively on the reliability of data use and eventual return. Finally, the full compliance of ethical practice on the part of all stakeholders involved in tax generation of the state, the objectives of income generation, wealth distribution, and division, as well as the control, will be achievable. On the part of government, corruption should be dealt with frontally. Corruption should be dealt with. The refund of our pay tax accordingly. An application of that relies to improve the lives of the citizens. That is on the part of government. This in turn will prevent ethical issues of tax evasion and tax avoidance by taxpayers. 2, it will in turn prevent ethical. In the same vein, it is the responsibility of the taxpayers to make full disclosure of information related to their property to be taxed. Registered valuers must comply with the Code of General Ethics and Practice as published by the Nigerian Valuers and Ethics and Valuation Board of Nigeria. This includes imposition of mandatory obligation regarding competence, objectivity, and transparency. The Bring equally establish a framework for uniformity and best practices in the general of the operational assignment. I want to thank you for your time.
You can do better. You can do better. Noble colleagues, the chairman with your permission, sir, I'd like to appreciate all our resource persons for a very wonderful job that they have done. For the papers they delivered today, we appreciate you all for coming from far and near. Out of your tight schedule, you create time to honor us. God will honor you. It is time to come to the question and answer section. Please, I want us to understand one thing. The question will be in this format. Once I was blind, now I can see. So that the person that will answer the question will be able to know where we are coming from and where we are going to. Please, the floor is open for question. And I believe our resource persons are ready to give answers and do justice to all the questions. Thank you very much. To do that, please, we'd like to pick numbers. Please, number 1. Is there another person on this row? Number 1. Number 2. Number 3. Number 4. Number 5. We have 6 persons who want to ask a question. Is there another person that wants to ask a question? Let's start with number 1.
Good afternoon, sirs. Ama. My name is ESV Prince Israel Taiwo Oyemi. Having listened to the thought-provoking papers presented by our resource persons, something is bothering my mind. I remember in the year 2015, before the land use charge was enacted, we were there and we presented, Osun State Branch, we presented our position papers. I think our referred Professor B.T. Aluko was there. But all our persuasions, appeals, yielded no positive results. My own question is that I think there's difference between ground rent and land use charge. They are two different things. What can we do as an estate surveyor and valuer to help this state? Because the land use charge that is domiciled in the Ministry of Finance is an aberration. Sooner or later, the communique on this program will be issued. How can we get it across to the appropriate quarter? I thank you.
I also want to join the last man that spoke, to thank all our colleagues, senior ones for that matter, who have given us this beautiful teachings. I want to go straight. I have just two questions. First, we'll go to the second speaker. He was talking about multiple taxation in real estate investments. When he was delivering his paper, he even queried whether God is hiding somewhere. Whether
please, decorum, please.
Whether we even see God, or we even know where God is. And somebody quickly said that God is everywhere. But the way we are operating in Nigeria, look at property, taxation for example. By the time you calculate all the taxes people pay, it's almost times 3 of the value of the property. And that is why people are evading tax. They would rather evade than to pay, because these things is throat snatching. And so I want to ask, what can the government do to make sure that people are giving incentive? People see reason why they should pay. Because if I don't see reason why I should pay, the small house that I have that is being used for commercial, when I want to go to that house, it's it's a problem for me. Very difficult to reach that house. And you want me to pay? I will raise a question, for what? What am I paying for? So until people realize that whatever they pay, they are going to get value for it. So what do you advise the government to do? And straight to our erudite former chairman of this very branch, Alhaji Sikiru Adewi. He was talking about ethical practice for property tax generation. And he quickly went to sanction of our early members, even when they give job to practicing estate surveyor and valuers, for one reason or the other, and many a time people will just undervalue in order to. And what you discover is that if you give evaluation to 10 surveyors, what we are going to get will marvel you. Yes, we know that there can be differences in the opinion, but then because of some inordinate reasons, you see valuer just giving value anyhow. So how do you think our profession can sanction members? So that's my question. Because if a government gives you a job to do, and they discover that what you have done is a trash, I want them to give you or your colleagues work again. So what can we do as a body to make sure that our colleagues are called to order? I thank you.
Noble colleagues, please, like I said earlier, please, we need to make our question to be so smart. I said, once I was blind, now I can see. Please, anybody I want to ask any question, please let us make it 1 minute. Number 3.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm ASV Bamdele Kazemishola from Oyo branch. My question goes to the presenters as well as the organizers of this conference or talk. Like now, like as robust as the papers are, unfortunately, it's like we are talking to ourselves. We are, the majority of people here are followers and students of the same management. But unfortunately, the people that matters, other stakeholders that will have benefited from this robust presentation are not here. That is the government officials, even our colleagues that works with the local government, with the state government, I don't think they are here. So far we have discovered that. I think the next action will be by the time the communique comes out, it should be well, it should be escalated so that it will reach where it's supposed to reach. That is my observation. Then secondly, most of the presenters talked on advocacy. How do we achieve it? Advocacy, that is getting people to know the roles of estate surveyors and valuers in financing states or financing state projects. That is where we will be well appreciated. And one of the presenters made us to understand that by the time you are in the advocacy, it doesn't mean that the job will come to you. So we should be smart in our presentations so that they will not just use us again. Because it is observed, it is noted that most states, by the time these things are presented, they will now use their own political beneficiaries to benefit, to snatch the job from the professionals. So these are my observations. Thank you very much.
The fourth person.
Permit me to rest on the existing protocol. My name is ESV Adenleolaniyo. The last speaker actually spoke my mind. But what I want to say, in addition to what he actually said, is that ESV should mention that we made a position paper to the government, I think in 2016 or thereabout, on this particular issue of land use charge, that we have a role to play. And since then, we didn't hear anything till now. So I want to charge the executive and our speakers or our elders that this particular topic we dealt with today. Like he said, most of the people that are supposed to be here, they are not here, but we can get it across to them. So I don't want us to leave everything here. Let us do more of advocacy, more of politics, so that this, because they are the benefit, they are the one to execute this thing. We are just trying to tell them where the money is. So they are the one to collect the taxes, not us. But we are going to be partners to carry out the assignment. So I want to charge the executive, please, let us put more effort to ensure that our communique here today get to the appropriate quarter so that we can see the result of what we are doing here today. Thank you.
The last person, number 6.
We I want to thank the organizers of this program. Mine is just an observation. My name is Edo Iloye from Ilorin. My observation goes to the speaker 3, ESV Oshinkoya. It was during his analysis, he mentions that Osun state government embark on several social infrastructures, which were sourced from some of the taxes they were able to gather. Now, we say substantial. When you say something is substantial, it shows that it's no longer a fragment. Either we are talking of ratio 1:5, which is 20%, or ratio 1:1/3, which should be around 30 or 33%. If something like that happens, and you are presenting a formal paper like this, we expect you to go back to Board of Internal Revenue Service of Osun State to give us the accurate figure. If we are working on percentage, we should have the actual percentage. When you say something is substantial, that's just an observation. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you, sir. Noble colleague, please, before we go to, before we give the microphone to the resource persons to answer the questions, please, I want to link up with the people online. Please, do we have anybody that has a question to ask? Kindly place your question online. The question will be attended to. And along the line, please, I want to sincerely appreciate some of our people online. Let me start by appreciating the president of our noble institution and the chairman of council, estate surveyor and valuer, Amayevo. Number 2, please, I want to also appreciate and let us know that we recognize as well estate surveyor and valuer Victor Adekunle, that's the first vice president. I want to appreciate estate surveyor and valuer Malam Baturo, the second vice president. I want to also appreciate estate surveyor and valuer Victor Ayeye. I want to also appreciate estate surveyor and valuer Ebiai. Also, I want to appreciate estate surveyor and valuer Emmanuel Ojo, all the way from Port Harcourt, and some other persons online. These people, they are with us and they are monitoring what we are doing. We appreciate them. Yes, it is time for us to have answers from the resource persons. Let me start from estate surveyor and valuer Sikiru Adeyi Alhaji.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I have 2 questions here with me. One raised by my brother, estate surveyor and valuer Israel Yemi, that borders on the land use charge bill, but it's not that it has become history now because we made our own presentation, but he claimed it was never implemented. When I was going through a compendium prepared by Osun State Internal Revenue Service, when you look at item 62, 63, 64, that is where they mentioned land use charge. In item 63 or 64, they said the value should be so determined by assessor or assessment officer, valuer, and so on and so forth. But I'm afraid whether they engaged the services of assessors and valuers during the course of the exercise. But they mentioned valuer, and that was the only thing they mentioned. Not in the bill, in the actual act, but I don't know whether they engaged our services. The second question by my brother, Honorable Johnson Ojo, he was asking on how you can address the issue of marked differences of variation in valuation report prepared by assessors and valuers. My approach to that, my own answer to that is that, 1, integrity matters in whatever we do. And it is not every brief that a valuer must undertake. Instances are banned when hired to turn down briefs because they are pleading for compromise. Yesterday, I was in a place, somebody said, I should go and do a particular valuation, for informed decision on sale. So essentially, I met the buyer. It wasn't the buyer that commissioned me. I was commissioned by somebody. The buyer commissioned me and not the seller. Then I said, at the end of the day, I should let him know the opinion of value I arrived at. I said, no, it's not possible. So it is not every brief that we have to take as valuers. That's my one. Two, as a valuer, I want to recommend mega practice so that you can have a robust and standard valuation office. When you have a robust and standard valuation office, if anybody does if a particular officer does a job, it can be cross-checked. Two, with introduction of IT, information technology, it is very difficult to maneuver information regarding practice. A project is not painted and you value it. By the time you present the picture, it will show the true status of the property. And finally, we have a body that regulates our practice. So if any valuer is caught wanting, then we have sanctions by the Nigerian Institute of Valuers as well as the Institute of Valuers Board of Nigeria. So that is my response to your question, sir. Thank you.
Let me call on Estate Surveyor and Valuer Taiwo Oshikoya to respond to the questions that was directed to him.
Well, I think it wasn't really a question. I think it's an observation. Well, my interaction with the the internal revenue people, they actually said that they've done a lot of things, and they were showing me from their records that they've done a lot of things with the tax payment they've received. So I really cannot give that precise figure. Probably I would I'll get back to him probably if he needs it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Before we move forward, I want to recognize the presence of Estate Surveyor and Valuer Taiwo Mayowa, the Honorary Publicity Secretary of Ekiti Branch. You are much welcome, sir. Mr. Chairman, sir, we have had the question and answer session, and it was a very nice time. Noble colleagues, at this point, before we draw the curtain on today's program, please, I want to invite Estate Surveyor and Valuer, Professor B.T. Aluko, to give us a serious charge before we close, before we draw the curtain. Okay. Oh. Okay, before Professor B.T. Aluko we come on board, I want to call upon Estate Surveyor and Valuer Yinka Omotosho to respond to the questions directed to him.
Noble colleagues, I thought because I'm not a professor, he wanted to sideline me. But anyway, could we have one house, please? One house. One house, noble colleagues. Thank you very much. I have a question which I've been asked. Just one question by my senior colleague, sir. You asked, what are the government incentives on this multiple taxation as it applies to Osun State? Well, from my own experience, locally and internationally, the government has a number of incentives they can adopt and apply here in Osun State to encourage foreign investors. We have things like tax holidays, where you can be exempted from paying tax for a specific period of time, just to encourage you to come and invest in the state. We have also tax reductions, depending on the tax applicable to the particular case. Also tax reliefs as well. There is also what we call tax concessions, maybe due to age, maybe due to the nature of the business or the service you want to bring into the state. There can be a concession for you to encourage you to come and invest in the state. So there are a number of concessions and incentives the government can adopt when it comes to taxes in any state regarding to real estate. You made a comment on my teaser, Where is God? The Where is God teaser was just a joke, a professional joke. It wasn't related to the multiple taxation in the state. So, and I was saying the naughty boys were mischievous in the village, and everybody in the village knew them as naughty boys. So anything that happened in the village, they will call on these boys. And this man of God was told to speak to them, to counsel them and to rebuke them. So when he was asking them, the first one, he said, "Where is God?" The guy couldn't answer. And then he shouted on him again, "Where is God?" And that young boy ran away. That they've now said they don't know where God is, and they're now saying they're the ones responsible for missing of God. Obviously, God is everywhere, and God is in Osun State. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. We sincerely appreciate you, sir. At this point, I want to call on Estate Surveyor and Valuer, Professor B.T. Aluko, to charge us. Please, can we jam our hands together for Baba?
Mr. Chairman, members of the table here, not high table. Those there are even higher. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to first of all commend the effort of Osun State chapter for you to be able to bring the son of the soil. You will taste emu today before you go back to Ibadan. And when you are tasting emu, donate generously to the state branch. Look at this roof, it's sagging. It's sagging. So we need your donation. And I know that my friend, one of the key presenters, it is going to be in pound sterling by the grace of God. We need money. Look at it, it's sagging. It's not good for the image of the profession. My brother from Kwara State, you must drop something before you go. Then, first of all, I have commended you. I also want to thank you for the opportunity to speak. It's a rare privilege. Ekiti man, I like your cap. Drop something. Look at this roof, this ceiling. Is it good? So the only way to rectify it is money. Amen. God will do it, but it will not come down. Through, and I know Ekiti, you have money. Even your cap is special. So it's a rare privilege to ask me to speak. But I'll add of advocacy. Advocacy is good, but politicians are very difficult. You advocate, you say, okay, they are ready to do it. They will call their own. I want to charge our members. We must also join politics. If you don't join, you will always complain. You said we went there, but since then, they didn't do anything. How many of our members are part of the PDP? We have to join them. In fact, I realized one major fact. I was in front of the secretariat when one of the commissioners called me, and he said he wanted to see me. I said, well, I was in front of secretariat too, but I planned to go and visit my friend. There was no way I can branch. He now said I can come. By the time I visited him, the day he arranged, it was then I realized that those in government, it is the people they see that they remember. In fact, he was telling me that the branch chairman and members of the senior came to present him with something. And then he told them that his friend is Aluko. It was then I had the opportunity to be able to tell him a lot of things. And he told me one thing: our problem is internal. Those working, you are out of the ministry now. Oga is out of the ministry. Anytime there is compensation, those in the ministry are the ones that will sit on the compensation. They go and bring one person from Ibadan to do it because they want to hit inside and hit outside. It shouldn't be like that. I've told Oga here that I've never seen a person, even if you let you be the owner of all the properties in Osogbo, is 6 feet, Abi. Is it not 2 meters? 2 meters. In fact, Abalis are waiting for your bones. The cloth, that white cloth, they will cut it to make juju. So why are we wasting our time? Especially because those coming behind us, the students there, the only way we can leave a legacy for them is to open areas where they can get jobs. Don't think of yourself alone. Think of those coming behind you. We have reached a level. Those who are just joining the polytechnics now and university now, what are they going to see? And the civil servants, they are not here. They are evil servants. They are the major problem of our profession. He told me, and he said, and I asked him, you must protect us this time around. And we must also thank the chairman, very active a person. And I told him, those employees, if you give your job to them and they misbehave, you can only sack them. But if you give it to practicing surveyors, you can report them to the board. And it's conflict of interest. You are working under a government, you are also getting a job, and you are the one who will supervise that job. And he agreed with me. You have to move closer. When they are doing wedding ceremony, be there. Birthday, be there. Huh? And that is the only way they will recognize us. I've been telling my students that you are much younger than us and you are going to graduate. Go and join the Institute of Taxation. Go and take their exams. When you have more of estates of yours and valuers there, you will see they will bring back because all these are academic something, what we have done today, except with the Institute of Taxation that have taken over. And what they are doing is general taxation. When it comes to land taxation, we should be in the forefront. But if we don't join them, we can capture our territory through those younger ones. If they are able to join us, you know, we have estates of yours and value. Many of us are lawyers. There is no way they can take our job again. There is a judgment by the Supreme Court that anybody, any lawyer that is engaging in agency, they will derobe the lawyer. And you can see that things are changing. So our people should go and join and write exam of the Institute of Taxation. And about 4 of them have taken forms. They have started writing exams. Before they graduate, they can even be members of Institute of Taxation. I want to see how those people will not corner property taxation. And that is, it is coming back to us. So the evil, our colleagues, I don't know how you want to do that, in the ministry. That's where we have problems. Even in the Federal Ministry of Housing those days, our 4 bears, those who were there then, they also caused problems. I don't know what is happening. We have to change our attitude. If you don't change our attitude, you think you are enjoying, you are killing the profession. And the younger ones are here. Some of us, even the way I speak in class, is that there is no profession except estate management. But when they graduate, they say this man is a 419 man. I don't want them to call me 419. So appeal to our colleagues in the ministry. They are the ones causing our problem. Even when it comes to seeing government, by the time we go and visit government and you are no longer there, they will poison their mind against us. And that's why I have to join politics, be part of them. If you are part of them and you are put in a position as of a commissioner, then you are very close to the governor. You can even advise the governor better. So I want to rest my case here because I know my brother will go back to Oyo, but he will taste Emo before going. And my brother is going to Ekiti, to Lagos. But they have to drop something before they go. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. At this point, while we appreciate Baba, B for Baba, T for teacher, that is Baba teacher, Aluko. So God will bless you. And Ojo Ima Adale, Ikwayo Nikoyi Lese, Epo Akpesa, ni Jabole Ilagboro Lo, Jete Shisile, Oma Leoni Wole Woni Baje, Atu Shisi. Thank you very much, sir. At this point, we are moving closer to the point of drawing the curtain for today's program. And as we gathered here today, we need to appreciate every one of you for coming. And who is to give us a vote of thanks? Please, we have hierarchies, yes. And it is not just, we want to give it to just anybody. But let us take credence to value of authority. I want the chairman, I want the chairman to use the authority of chairmanship to give the vote of thanks to everybody here today, so that you will know that, yes, we really appreciate your coming. Thank you, my chairman. Over to you, sir.
Distinguished noble colleagues, on behalf of Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers, Osun State Branch, we want to sincerely appreciate every one of you that are physically present and those people online. First and foremost, we want to appreciate all our resource persons. They have done excellently well. Can you give them a round of applause, please? I will sincerely appreciate Estate Surveyor and Valuer Yinka Omotosho, all the way from Lagos. He said Osun State belongs to him. We can call him any point in time. And he did the same thing he told us. Thank you very much for coming, sir. We appreciate our Estate Surveyor and Valuer Taiwo Oshikoya from Oyo Bishop Ajayi Crowthers University. You are highly appreciated, sir. I must but appreciate our home. The Estate Surveyor and Valuer that has Alhaji in brackets, Sikiru, Aremu, Adewuyi, fellow of the institution. I have every authority to call his name today, but after I might have stepped down, he's my boss. Thank you for honoring us, sir. Our lecturer, we appreciate you. My IPC appreciates you. The chairman, Kwara State Branch, Estate Surveyor and Valuer, Pastor Lekan Oyedepo, you are highly appreciated. My counterpart from Ekiti, brand new chairman. We are all product of Osun State College of Technology. If you don't know it now. It's from Oscotech. Estate Surveyor and Valuer Shola Ekundayo, the chairman of Ekiti. You are highly appreciated, sir. I want to appreciate all our sponsors. Most of them are online. Estate Surveyor and Valuer Victor Ayeye, he did excellently well for us. He donated all the t-shirts that you people are seeing. He was the one that donated it. And he's watching us online. He's the son of the soil. He's a council member. You are highly appreciated. Estate Surveyor Anfalua Malam Bature Ali. That is the second vice president of the institution. We appreciate you. All of them are online. I want to appreciate Estes of you Anfalua Charles Ebai, the council member. We appreciate him. We appreciate Estes of you Anfalua. What is I forgot his name? Mark, who that is Mcpd chairman. Emmanuel Mark. We appreciate you. All of them are online. I want to appreciate our first vice president, Estes of your Anfalua Victor Adekunle Alonge, for his son of the son also. Thank you for being with us. And we must appreciate our president, Estes of your Anfalua Jumbu Amayevo. Thank you for always being with us. And my Oga from Ibadan, Estes of Anfalua Otito Ola, son of the son. Don't forget the promise that Oga said. So that is very important. All of you, we appreciate you. Thank you for coming. We see you next year by God's grace.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this point, we need to round up the program with prayer from one of our allergies. Let me call the HOD Estate Management, Osun State College of Technology, SRK, to give us a closing prayer.
Sallu ala Nabi al-Karim. Sallu ala Nabi al-Mustafa. We really appreciate Almighty God. We have seen the beginning of the program, and then we have seen the end of the program too. We pray to Almighty God to save everybody to their own very definition. Allahumma rabbana atina fid dunya hasanatan wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina azaban nar. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wassalamu ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Amen.
Thank you very much. We wish you a very safe journey back to your destinations. Thank you, and God bless.